now and online. So April, Leslie, the whole team are working to make sure you guys all get in and get access. So we're going to let them join us for a few minutes. And I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping this morning while we're waiting, and just welcome all of you and thank you for taking the time. This is franchise systems orientation, and normally this is a 3-day, or I should say a 2.5-day class held in Austin, Texas at the Keller Williams Realty International headquarters, and in our large training center. Many of you have been there, and unfortunately we won't be there for quite some time. We're all working from home, as many of you are as well still, thanks to this unique opportunity we all have to run our businesses very differently. Many of our regions around the world hold franchise systems orientation in each of their respective countries, which is just awesome. To think that this class is taught in, close to 40 languages at least, is just so cool. And so I will do my best today to guide us through a short and digital version of this FSO, so that you guys can see at least some of what our regions are doing and what KWRI has done here in Austin for years. This is our Bible, if you will, our text of great importance for running market centers. And so some of us on the call today are looking at this class from a regional perspective, meaning you're either teaching this in your region or you're going to be teaching this in your region to attract great market center owners and also to train and coach your current market center owners on this model. Some of us might be here because you're in a region and you're taking advantage of this opportunity to look at this FSO for how you're running your market center in that region. And then, of course, thanks to Lisette and Bill and our team, many of you are here because you're looking at bringing Keller Williams into a region where you live, work, and have a great passion, we hope. And this class will help color in some of what you're working with Lisette on about running a region in your country, running a Keller Williams region in your country. So FSO is one piece of a very big story that you're learning and a model that you're starting to understand. And so we hope these next 2 days are going to be very, very valuable for you, especially as you consider bringing Keller Williams into your country and growing it to become #1 in the real estate industry there locally. So our goal for the next 2 days is to share with you exactly that model and system. This is going to focus down not on regional training or how to be a region within Keller Williams, but actually how to run a market center. And like I said, this is 2.5 days. This course is extremely big. I don't have a manual here in front of me. Oh yeah, I do actually. This manual is, pretty thick, right? So to do this in 2 half days is quite the adventure. So we don't want this journey to stop here. We want you to learn and glean great information from this, especially if you're a candidate OP for a region, and continue this discussion with Lisette and our team after this class. Basically, our focus here is how do we set up and operate a market center that's on model within Keller Williams to achieve the level of success that we've seen in so many market centers, about 1,000 around the world, especially starting in the United States and now in 45 countries outside of the US and Canada. So that's our goal, is to teach you that model, at least a little bit of it, so that you can ask better questions and start analyzing and working through the models and systems and how you might localize some of that inside your own countries. Okay, a couple of things about our call before we jump in. There is a chat tool. Please get familiar with it. We want you to use that extensively. You also have the ability to mute and unmute yourself, I believe. So please do that as well. We want to make this a highly interactive class. You're going to be hearing a lot from me, but also some guest speakers, as well as the rest of our worldwide team. And so we want you to be part of the course, part of this experience, and not just passive viewers. The really cool thing about this tool we're using is that you can interact with us as much as you'd like. And so if you have a question you want to share, feel free to raise your hand or speak up, unmuting yourself. You can also use the chat tool for that as well. And our team will prompt me and each other if we miss it or if we need to catch up at the end. Okay, couple of quick things I want to do. I want to introduce everybody. We have a wonderful worldwide team we're so proud of, and I'll go around real quickly, and then we'd like to open up with our president, Mr. Bill Soderoff. First off, I'm JP Lewis. My name is John Paul, but everyone calls me JP. I am your vice president of KW Worldwide. I am extremely passionate about this company, probably a little too passionate sometimes, but I love this course. I love what this company can do and has done for people, including myself. And so it's really an honor for me to get to be here with you. So thank you for sharing your time. I hope this will be as impactful to you as it is for so many others. I'd also like to introduce Leslie Grimm. Leslie, can you hear us okay?
Yes, hello.
Hey, there's Leslie. Leslie is the one that you guys all know who takes care of us and is going to run the show on this Zoom presentation. She's going to be there in the chat tool and helping people get in and out of the waiting room. So if you do need to log off, please know there'll be a little bit of a pause while Leslie adds you back in. So if you choose to turn your camera off and step away, or you need a break or whatever that might be, don't be worried. Just turn your camera off or mute yourself if you need to. We won't be offended. Logging in and out can be kind of slow, so we don't want you to miss anything. So feel free to just turn your camera off if you need to step away. Leslie, we're going to go from today from 8 a.m. until noon Central Standard Time, so about 4 hours. And so she'll help you throughout those 4 hours, and we have a break in the middle. So we'll try to break around 10 a.m., which is in about 2 hours, so that you can take some time scheduled where we won't be presenting. And so at that moment, don't log off. Just turn your camera off and go grab a drink or bathroom breaks, whatever you need. Secondly, on tomorrow, Leslie has a setup where it's the same link, the same registration. So just sign in like you did today, tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks, Leslie, for setting this up. You're a rock star, to say it mildly. I'd also like to introduce April Mitchell, our Director of Franchise Relations. April, are you on the call?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, guys.
April, many of you guys know if you're a current region, and you'll get to know her greatly as you bring your regions forward. After you work with Lisette and Bill, April will be one of the first people you meet, and she is an amazing leader on our team. April's actually going to help me host some of the content today, as well as Ammon Chase. Ammon, are you on the call? May not be on yet. So Ammon's going to join us a little later.
Okay, I'm on. Sorry, yeah, it's finding the unmute button. Yep, Ammon Chase, Corporate Counsel, Director of Business Strategy.
Ammon is also very passionate and like April, very knowledgeable on this content. She and Ammon both coach and support our regions all around the world. And so they'll be helping me through some of the content today. And then lastly, you guys all know Lisette. I'll let you introduce yourself, Lisette. Lisette Montoto, our Regional Development Director.
Hi, everyone. I think most of you know me, the Regional Development Director for Worldwide, and it's a pleasure to see all your faces on here this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. I know real late for some of you.
We have to acknowledge that. I know we repeat ourselves, but man, to be up late at night with family and children and all your personal lives still happening side by side with you, your commitment is very inspiring. So thank you guys for being here. Okay, last but not least, by any stretch of the imagination, is our president, Mr. Bill Soderoff. I'm not even going to introduce this wonderful man. If you have been anywhere involved in real estate, especially internationally, in the last 20 years, then you know who this person is. I'd like to give him the platform and let him welcome you properly, Mr. Bill Soderoff, our president of KW Worldwide. Bill?
Thank you, JP. Thank you to our team here in Austin, and thank you to you around the world for joining us for this digital FSO. Kind of unusual when you think about it. When most of us started our careers, we were really delighted to have mobile phones that were the size of a shoe. And then we went to laptop computers and mobile computing and the ability to move around. Real estate professionals were the first in the world and the industry to be mobile and move from office to open houses or showing property, closing transactions mobily. We've always been innovators. None of us were prepared for a worldwide pandemic that shut the world down, political and economic instability in most of our countries, and now an economic difficulty which is facing us. So there's challenges. The resilient people in the world, those people in the real estate industry, have found over the last 90 days a way to do business. People ask me all the time, why are you in this business? What do you do? How do you do it? And I'm going to just take a moment to put the focus on you. So if you have not already, go to the top right-hand corner if you're on a computer. If you're on an iPad, I think it's at the bottom, and go to the view that shows everyone. Go to that view that lets you see a gallery. For those of us in America or grew up at a certain age, we call that the Brady Bunch view. There was a TV show that showed all the people, and you could see that. And take a look at that view for a moment. You're the reason why I'm in this business. I'm not really just in the real estate business in Canada, where I was born, or in the United States. My world since or before the 2000s was international real estate, but with people, franchising and opening and operating businesses. When I look at the names and the faces of the people on this call, you're the reason why. I love it. I love it when I see names like Abin or Margarita or Benjamin or Long or Nani or Cheryl or Hanan or Daniel, Milan, Claudia, Roberto. Those are names of people in different countries around the world. And one of the reasons why FSO and Keller Williams is so important is because you're going to change the way business is done in the real estate industry in your countries. Now, every single one of you is different. Every single one of you operates in a country which has different laws, rules, and regulations. That's not what we're going to change. You know, for 1,000 years, people have been listing and selling property in many of your countries. In the New World, at least for 100 years. You know, we do business in Central Europe and Asia, and the first transactions were after the year 1000 or 1500. For 1,000 years, people have been listing and selling property in England, China, Asia. So there's nothing that we're going to do to tell you how to change the laws, rules, and regulations in your country. That's how things are done in each one of your countries. What we are going to talk about is the systems and models of how to run a very efficient small business. That business is in the real estate industry. And normally what happens is that a mother and daughter, a mother and son, a husband and wife get together and start a real estate business. The average number of real estate agents in a real estate office in Europe is 2.2. And there are hundreds, there are thousands, there are millions of real estate offices around the world that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the office. In fact, most of our competitors average around 7 or 10 or 15 agents, depending on the company, in their real estate office. Almost all of those offices are not profitable. I worked at a company for 19 years, Remax. I expanded Remax to more than 98 countries around the world. The average number of agents we had in more than 6,000 offices was 16. The number of profitable offices that we had was less than 10. The problem that we had was that if you were a broker owner, you had to list and sell property and take that profit and put it into the business to keep it alive. So one of the things that you're going to learn today and tomorrow and over the next years is the systems and models that KW employs to make sure that the market center is profitable individual agents are profitable, and we share that information. So it's a different culture. Now, you're going to hear that word a lot over the next few days and over the career that you will have with Keller Williams. Culture. It's different. We're not just after money. We're not just after a way to do business. We're after a lifestyle. We want to improve things for people. Red Day and the ability to give back to a community is extremely important. So that's part of what we're talking about when we have a different style of business. It's different. Believe me, I know. I've been in the business. I've seen what happens in different countries. And I have so many people who say to me, oh, whoa, 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 it's different here. Well, the answer is it's not different. Every single one of you wants a better life for yourselves or for your family. That's why you're in this. You're in this to make money and have a life. The second part of that is it's how is that done? Is that done easily or difficult? You'll hear a phrase from JP and myself, and that's called do your job. So as a broker owner of an office, if you own an office, then you become a master of all trades. Well, you become a jack of all trades, master of none. Your job is to list and sell property, find leads for your agents, turn the lights on, open and close the door in the morning, empty the garbage, clean the toilets. You have to do everything. There's no paper in the photocopy machine. You have to put that in. So you have to do everything. Oh, and by the way, take care of your customers and clients and family. That's difficult. The one thing that you'll learn at FSO is the operation and makeup of a market center. What is a market center? You'll learn that. You'll learn what an OP, a team leader, and an MCA is. And each one of those people who make up the operation of a market center has to do their job. And what's the job of the agent? To list and sell property more efficiently and better than anyone on the planet. So all of those things make up what a market center is for Keller Williams and the roles and responsibilities of individuals. And we're going to do that digitally, and we're going to do that in a world which has changed dramatically since the end of February. I'm amazed at many things, but I'm never amazed at the capacity of people who want to do something. JP and I were talking yesterday. We've said this so many times. The same person sees what happens in the world, and one person thrives and one person shrieks in horror. And the fact that you're on this call, the fact that you want to think about your future and your career indicates you're substantially different from most people in your country. There are lots of people in our industry at the announcement of COVID entering their country that went home and were terrified and are terrified and have done nothing. And then on the other hand, there are people in this industry, and I'm very proud to say in Keller Williams, who have grown and expanded this business. This year in 2020, Lizette has brought 3 new regions to us. We've increased the number of market centers and just passed 10,500 agents in 7 full years of operation. That's remarkable. That's remarkable. So we're not slowing down. And this isn't just the acquisition of people or countries or regions. This is the profitable operation of businesses. That's substantially different, as I said. So what you'll learn over the next couple of days is a different way of thinking and doing business. And then the challenge that I have for you is don't just sit there and be a passive participant, then engage and give back to us, make us better. That's the challenge of leadership. You don't just sit there and take or listen and go home. You do something. There's a funny little phrase that my mother taught me once, and she said that, you want to go someplace and you want to do something. And she said, many people go someplace and it sees them and you go home. What she taught me, what she wanted to say to me was, go and do something and affect those that are around you. My father, who I thought of yesterday during Father's Day, taught me a lesson that said, every single person you speak to affect their lives somehow. And that should be in a positive manner. and surround yourself with people who just don't happen to be there. Surround yourself with people that you choose to influence your life, and you will influence their life. And you'll learn about that during FSO by sourcing, selecting, and choosing the right people to be your team leader, MCA, agents, or the OP. It just doesn't happen by accident. So one of the things that's going to happen over the next couple of days is that you will be asked to participate and think about how to change your life, but you will make us better. And hopefully vice versa, you'll learn some different things. So as I said before, this is a little different than what we normally do. Monthly in the past, for so many years, more than 200 or 300 people would come into Austin, Texas, come to our corporate headquarters and go through 2.5 days of FSO. Now we come into your homes or your cars or your offices through a digital platform, and we do FSO. And you know what? This is the future. So adapt or die. For the leaders of thinking about becoming an OP of a country, your job is to think yearly or 5 years in the future. What will business look like 5 years in the future? And none of us really know that. We don't even know what's going to happen next month with COVID. But if we don't plan, we'll never get anywhere. So surround yourself with really great leaders who can help you decide how to do business in the future. I couldn't be more proud of our team in Austin and our 45 OPs around the world. They have been remarkable people. And during this COVID time, we've spoken to them more than we ever have. And you know what? They've made us stronger because we see messages from them and activities and success stories, and they're amazing people. Our team in Austin, Texas, brilliant. JP leads a team which has come forward during COVID and done a remarkable job. Better, I think, than almost any company in any industry around the world. We're setting the standards of a world-class business. So for you, in each one of your offices, countries, cities, I'll say this to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing our systems and our models about Keller Williams. This is an opportunity that changed my life, and I think it will change your life. Good luck to you over the next 2 days. JP, thank you for the opportunity of speaking.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. Thank you, Bill. I couldn't have said it better myself. Bill guides us, he leads us. I always appreciate his love and appreciation for this team, but we would not be anywhere near the team that I'm so proud to be a part of without Bill's leadership. You can talk to our current regions. There's no man on the planet that loves this business more than the gentleman you just heard from. And so I want to point to that as an example for all of us, whether it's a region or a market center or being an agent running your own business, everything rises and falls on leadership. And so we want you to just really take that in as a theme for the next 2 days, that if you're going to succeed at a market center level, and especially at a regional level, you have to own the leadership that you bring to this business. What we're about to discuss and dive into is not about putting another American brand into your marketplace. That is not what we do. If anything, this is a company built by your people for your people, with respect to your local market. As Bill said, we're not going to change the way consumers buy, sell, and let out property in your country. We're not even going to change all that much the way the agents interact with those consumers. The thing we're going to do is give them more tools, systems, and models to grow what they're already doing to a higher level. This is not about changing consumer behavior. This is about showing up and putting the entire real estate industry in your market on notice that the game has changed, that we're going to play a different way. We're going to lead and support our agents at a whole new level, and that if they want to keep up, they better change their game too. The reality is most of your competitors will not. They'll make up stories about you or what Keller Williams is, or that it's different, or that nobody knows who it is. And none of those things matter. Everything matters on how you show up. Because if you show up and you're willing to fail forward and keep getting up and going, you will see that you will join the ranks of regions, both internationally and in the United States, and market center owners internationally and in the United States, who have built amazing businesses and amazing lives for themselves, their families, and most importantly, their business partners and the agents who have chosen to align themselves with you. So thank you for that, Bill. Couple quick things before we jump right in. Leslie, is there any other housekeeping that you'd like to bring up? I just wanted to mention that everyone should have the wonderful manual that you sent. You should be seeing that on your screen, I think. This is the Franchise Systems Orientation Manual. Did anyone have any trouble getting that? Everyone have this document, at least digitally?
And that's also on our special FSO June 2020 Google Drive. So if no one has seen that yet, or you're having issues accessing that, please message me privately and I'll be able to help you.
Awesome. Leslie, is that showing on my screen? I want to make sure I'm sharing properly.
Yes, I see it. Yep.
So, great. There's also a document in there we'll get to in a second called Kellerisms. This can be really useful because we have, like any great company or great family, we have our own language. And it's a little bit hard to keep up with in the beginning. So if we, especially me, go too fast, or we say an acronym or an abbreviation or any kind of language or word that doesn't make sense to you, please know, even after decades in this company, there are things that we don't know or that we need to define for each other. So do not be afraid to ask a question. What does that mean? What does that stand for? Please do that throughout the class. And this document will also help you to glance at it. So I'd keep this open as a PDF on your machine in case we say something and you want to glance at it, or if you want to have it as a reference. Okay, let me get this out of the way. So let's dive in to chapter 1 on the FSO manual. We want to kind of guide you through today for the first 3 chapters. And I'm going to scroll down here and let you guys see. We're essentially going to spend this morning or your evening going through chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then tomorrow, our goal is to complete chapters 4, 5, and 6. And then that's it. And you'll see some things are marked out in this manual. That's because many of our guests, most of our guests on this call, aren't with Keller Williams yet. So we're not quite giving you everything, because obviously we want you to experience this with the full support and structure of Keller Williams. So in this first FSO, we want you to experience the key things that matter most, and then our team will help color in everything else as you become an approved KW region and market center. So we'll go through chapter 1, 2, and 3. This really covers some of the most important aspects to lay the foundation for running a powerful market center in a region. First is our foundational pieces like the mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. Our history. You're going to hear from Gary Keller directly through his story of how Keller Williams grew. And of course, our business model. This really defines our culture. Our culture is not just the mission and the values that we live by, but it's a culture of productivity. It's a culture of personal responsibility. It's a culture of profitability and building businesses that actually have money that you can take back into your lives and your communities. Chapter 2 takes us into the organizational and key models that run a market center, how you build a market center that grows itself. As Bill pointed out, this is not about opening another agency where you do everything. That's broker-centric, and you build everything and you do everything, and everybody comes to you as the parent over the entire business. In this model, you're building a totally different way of running an office, one that's led through leaders that you grow and support, and you stand behind them, not in front of them. So we're going to talk a lot about that. Chapter 2 is the biggest chapter for today. So really make sure you're marking those pages and revisiting that particular chapter, because that's the one that's actually going to help you put together your plan for a successful market center. And then chapter 3 is how you run that plan, how you actually grow. And that's where we're going to end today at around noon, because we really want you to understand the culture, the foundation, and then lastly, how do you actually grow that market center? Because The one thing you'll hear, and Bill touched on this, is that this is a business that must grow. These market centers are agent centric and they're agent growth centric, meaning if you're not growing, you're dying. And so in this model, I think you'll see by the end of this morning how important growth is. And whether your market is very big or very small, the numbers might change dramatically in how big you'll grow, but the percentages shouldn't. The concept should not. You should get as big as your market allows and probably end up 3 or 4 times bigger than your largest competitor, meaning your largest brokerage competitor in agent count. Meaning your office will probably have 4 or 5 times more agents than the nearest office competitor. And if you're doing that, you're probably on the right track. And we'll talk about how you leverage this opportunity to do that, not just to be big, but for the purpose of profitability and to give agents a home to grow their business. So your agent mix, the way you grow, who you grow through, and how you structure your market center all matter. This is not just about attracting people or being the real estate school. This is about following a model. And I'll say one last thing and then we'll dive in. And that is, we have a lot of competitors that try to copy us. And we love that. It's actually a big honor to see so many people find value in these models and systems. The reason Keller Williams is #1 in the world by agent count and #1 in the United States by closed volume and closed units with over 170,000 people in our organization is because we put all of these models and systems together and we wrap it in a culture that's pretty hard to replicate unless you're living and breathing this company's models, systems, and mission. We have so many competitors that take pieces of this. And you'll see it in the United States now, especially after 36 years of running, and you're even seeing it worldwide. But just know, without putting it all together, we have seen time after time after time that our competitors struggle to keep up because a model and system isn't built on creativity. It's built on proven evidence of results sustained over time. And the model you're looking at, this manual you have in your hands, is the pathway to get there. So we take it very seriously. This is not about taking down your sign and putting up the Keller Williams logo. That actually doesn't matter to us at all. This manual and implementing this model matters most. Does that make sense? Any questions on that before we begin? Are you guys excited? Okay. So let me get this out of the way and we're going to jump in and April and Ammon, as I said, and Lisette will chime in throughout today's presentation. I don't want you guys just to hear from me. We'll have a guest speaker in just a little bit as well, but let's start with chapter 1 and kind of walk through today's or this first foundational piece. So Keller Williams was founded on concepts, systems, and models. And these are the ones that we really want you to pay attention to. There are pillars of our company. You're going to see us dive a little deeper into models and systems, but there are a couple of key pillars in our company. Growth being one we just mentioned. Productivity, meaning creating an environment in your market center where agents can be productive. That's the key focus of your market center. It's not a place for agents to hang out or everyone gets a desk or we all come and chit chat and tell war stories about the crazy clients we work with. This business, this office, this market center is designed to be productivity based. And of course, the purpose of that office and the value you deliver to agents is to be profitable. And so we wrap all those 3 pillars in a culture that's very important to us, a predetermined way that we decide to treat each other. Okay, so first of all, the one key thing to know, and you may have read this already, is our mission, our vision, our values, our beliefs, and our perspective. Our mission very clearly is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, so we can have lives worth living, and provide experiences worth giving and legacies worth leaving. These last 2, experiences and legacies, were added most recently because for about 30 years, our mission was very clear: careers, businesses, and lives. Given the new age of technology, we understand that now our agents, our market centers, and our regions, and of course worldwide, have to create experiences worth giving, because it's not enough to just be priced right or to do an okay job servicing your customers. Now you actually have to create a great customer experience, and you have to do that digitally and physically. And that's what 2020 calls for and beyond. So we'll talk more about that as we go through about KW's evolution, but understand that experiences we're leaving behind with our partners and especially our customers matter a lot. And then, of course, the legacies we're leaving. Giving back to our community and what we do with our profit to build these lives worth living matters. But the businesses we're building, especially our regions and our market centers, are meant to leave a legacy. Please don't look at this opportunity as like, oh, I'll try this out for 5 years and then that's it. Or I'll try out being a region, I can always sell it. That's not the purpose of this. It's not about the money. That might be our measurement of success, but it's not why we're in business. We should be leaving legacies for our families, our business partners, and of course, our communities. Gary Keller is your best example of that because he is our CEO and chairman and co-founder since our inception, and he could have retired a long time ago, decades ago. Yet this man wakes up every single day pouring back into this company, not because of the wealth he needs, but because of the wealth you need, and that your families need, and that your communities need. And the more he works at this, the bigger our world gets. And that's the kind of leadership we want to bring into our agent businesses, our market centers, and our regions. Sorry, was there a comment? I think I cut someone off.
Hey, JP, I just wanted to add something exactly with what you're saying. This vision, it does not say to build a career worth having or a business worth owning, meaning this mission is not about me. It's not about you. It's not about building my career worth having or my business worth owning or my life worth living. It's plural, right? It's about building careers worth having and businesses worth owning, because at Keller Williams, we succeed through others. As we help others build their career and their business and their life and their experiences, that will build our own. But it's, and exactly what JP said, Gary is leading this. He's at the forefront. He's already built a career and a business and a life and experience and a legacy. So why is he still doing this? Because he believes in this mission of Keller Williams, that it's not about his career and business, it's about all of ours. And that really is the number one mindset that you need to have as an OP. It's not about building your business. If you're in this just to build your own life and your own business, it's going to be very small. But if you can have the mindset to build other careers, other people's businesses, other lives worth living, then yours becomes elevated.
Yeah. You'll notice it in our vision as well, exactly what Eamon's saying, right? We think of ourselves, the vision we see for the world if we accomplish our mission is to be the real estate company of choice for agents and their customers. So right there in these first two sentences, you already see the tone of how we need to shift our mindset as business owners in the real estate industry and how you're going to set yourself apart from your competitors. Because I guarantee in most of our markets, including the United States, we have brokerage owners who don't think of those customers as belonging to the agent. For decades, if not hundreds of years in some of our countries outside the United States and countries that have been listing and selling property for so long, the customer belongs to the owner of the business. That's my business. Those are my customers. And in this market center, you don't own the customer, the agent does. And we're shifting that mindset because that's what top producers want. And if you're going to build lives for others in this industry, you need to start first with how do we become the company of choice for agents and their customers? Because I guarantee your top salesperson already thinks privately, actually they're with me because of me, and they're not with the company because of the company. I brought them in and I keep that relationship and I go to their home and I know who their children are and I help them through a huge financial transaction because I'm the agent. Top salespeople think this way, and many of your agents may not yet, but they will. And that's what will change. That's what will set apart from your competitors. And top people will be attracted to you if you lead with this mission and this vision. Next, we have our values. Now, this is something that gets talked about a lot. In fact, it's taught at universities in the United States. Our vice chairman has gone and spoken about this at Yale and Stanford, because even in the United States today, this is pretty unique. And in fact, it puts people back in a unique position to look at us and go, wow, how do you succeed when you are so bold about your values and putting them out there the way that you do? And frankly, it's not success in spite of this. Many of our leaders would argue that we are successful because of this, and because we're clear on who we are, why we're in business, and how we're going to treat each other on that journey. So values all start with God, family come first, then the business. Now, in our company of 170,000, do not assume we only have one faith in this company. Oh my gosh, we have so many diverse faiths in this organization, and you will as well. We all come from different parts of the world. We all have different faiths. But the point here is that your God, your faith, and your family must come first. Absolutely. It's non-negotiable. The business always comes second to that, because without your faith and your family, your God and your family, nothing else really matters. And that's something that we take very seriously in this organization, is that is for you to bring in. And some of you have gotten to see our family reunion event and other events where we celebrate that diversity, we celebrate that faith. And it's a big part of who we are. So we want you to take this into your countries, deliver this message in the way that's most appropriate for you, but welcome in all faiths, welcome in all diverse groups, and challenge them to put their family, their belief in their higher power above this business, because that's what fuels all of it. And it's how we stay in alignment with who we want to be on this journey that we're on. We also believe real estate is a local service business driven by real estate agents and their local image with their centers of influence and their client base. This goes to what we just talked about. You've got to believe that real estate is a local business. Otherwise, you're going to ask us for branding and marketing and to change the consumer's mind about what KW means to them. That is not your job. It's not our job. It's not your goal. Your goal is to be the home for agents who already know the local market, who already have a client base and can build it and teach them how to do that. We believe our associates should be treated like stakeholders. So you'll hear that we share revenue back with our agents for helping the company grow. We'll talk a lot about that today. We also believe stakeholder companies measure profit and loss, open the books, and tell the truth. This just simply means if I've got agents in my market center, I should be speaking to them about building wealth, running a business, how to make a profit out of that business, and essentially the lessons that many of us as salespeople were never exposed to, so that they can build a business as well. This goes right to that mission, like Ammon said, about building other careers and other businesses, not just our own. Of course, we believe who you are in business with really does matter. As you'll see in all of this, this is a people development company. This is a company not just in real estate. Your region and your market center are not about listing and selling real estate. It's about developing people, giving them an opportunity to list and sell real estate at a high level. So if you're going to do that, who you're in business with really matters. Because when you're bringing an unknown model like Keller Williams into your local market, if you don't have the right influencers, or if you have the wrong person who has created bad reputation locally, you're not going to succeed. But if you bring the right people in, the people who love this industry and love agents and want better opportunity for themselves and others, combine that with an unknown opportunity that people haven't experienced before, you're going to explode into the market, and you open a market center that attracts a lot of curiosity from especially the top people who are always looking to learn and grow. Lastly, we believe profit matters, like we've talked about, and we believe no transaction is worth our reputation. These are our values. This is the way we decide to operate. These are the things we hold as important. Our belief system. These are the rules we live by. Belief systems are simply just the things that we believe to be true, so that on a daily basis, we treat each other in the way that we've decided to do so. This was actually born out of the first Agent Leadership Council, also known as an ALC, under Gary Keller's leadership, because when Remax, thank you, Bill, came to Austin and totally disrupted Gary's business and took most of his top producers and his administrative staff, Gary had to reinvent the company. And as he does still today, Gary did what a lot of major real estate companies still don't do. He sat down with his top producing agents and had a conversation. Most importantly, he asked questions. And one of them was, why did you stay? Why did you stay when everyone else left? What do you love about this company? And more importantly, how can we actually build a company that everybody would want to join and no one would ever need to leave? And that's how the first Market Center became not just a traditional real estate office, but a Keller Williams Market Center. That Agent Leadership Council started listing out these things because this is how they were already operating, not only because of Gary's leadership, but because of the way they interacted with each other. That believed in win-win or no deal, meaning we come to an agreement where both parties win or we don't have an agreement. We believe in integrity. People in this office do the right thing. We believe customers always come first. We all support each other in helping each other's customers win and where necessary. We are committed in all things. When we say we're committed, we are committed to it, and we do what we say we're going to do. In communication, we ask questions. We seek first to understand. We don't just overpower everybody. And this is probably one of the most critical leadership lessons for all of us. If you're going to run a people development company, you've got to seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results, meaning we think about the idea before we expect results out of it. We've got to focus on solving problems creatively when we hit an issue. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. You'll hear Bill talk about this quite a bit because even in his days in RE/MAX, this was a lesson that all leaders learn, is that if you're going to succeed in this business, you have to bring people together and succeed as a team. Trust begins with honesty. And most importantly, the last one, success, which is results through people. If you're going to launch this model, you cannot go into it alone. You cannot think, I'll own the office 100% and I'll just figure it out. You need people around you. You're going to need to be willing to give up a little to invite the right influential leaders around you to grow really massive. If you're going to have a Market Center with 3 or 4 times the number of agents, you're going to need help. And you're going to have opportunity, if you keep growing, to be able to win big by everyone bringing their businesses into your office. If you stay alone, your office will be limited to your capacity. But if you open the opportunity to others, that Market Center could be limitless. It's all about what the opportunity that marketplace provides. But you're going to achieve it by succeeding through others. Okay. Our perspective is the last part of the MVVBP. And the perspective is ever evolving. In fact, ours recently changed to be a technology company that provides the real estate platform that our agents, buyers, and sellers prefer. So why did we change that? About 3.5 years ago, Gary saw, based on talking to agents, as he still does, and looking at what's happening in our industry, he realized that it was inevitable that technology was going to come in and fundamentally change the way real estate brokerages and agents operate. And to make a long story short, we had to plant a flag and begin a journey of becoming this technology company. Now, have we arrived? No. But in the United States, as a worldwide region, you're going to see some major milestones that have been achieved on a journey that will never end. And that is to become this technology company that provides a real estate platform that agents and their customers can connect on. We call it the industry operating system. That's essentially what we're building. And thankfully in the United States, we have a crystal ball to look into the future of what's happening because of so much technology investment. And we get to be beneficiaries of that step by step in the worldwide businesses we're building, because each of our markets are in a different place when it comes to technology and what we need to deliver to our people. So while you may not launch a technology-focused Market Center right now, you're part of a company that understands it's inevitable that we will all have to. And we're on that journey. We're well along our way. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow morning with Ben Elvira, our labs manager and technology manager for KW Worldwide. Keller Williams also thinks like a top producer, acts like a trainer consultant, and focuses all of our activities on service, productivity, and profitability. This has never changed. You should be thinking this way too. We might let the agent be the face of our organization, but we always think like them and we stand behind them, trying to build every tool we can based on their feedback, their input of what their real experience is listing and selling property locally, so that we can always be operating and thinking like a top producer, but acting like a trainer consultant in our relationship with them. Okay, any questions on that so far? Awesome. We're going to watch a short video and hear from Gary himself about how we got to where we are today in Keller Williams history. So if, April, if you'll let me know if we don't hear the volume or if I need to make it louder, just let me know.
Hi, I'm Gary Keller, and I'm here to share with you the history of our company, Keller Williams Realty. Keller Williams is unique. We put our agents first and work tirelessly to identify and meet their needs. We are simply one of the most innovative and successful real estate companies on the planet. The Keller Williams was a grand experiment in my life, and the origins of this company have their roots in my early experiences in the real estate business. On the advice of my dad, I got a degree in marketing and real estate with a specialization, particularly in real estate and insurance from Baylor University. In 1979, I graduated and came to Austin, Texas, and got into the real estate business. I eventually went into management, and because I loved teaching and helping people and achieve their business and life goals, I decided to make a career of leadership and management training. By the time I was 26, I was the vice president of expansion at Austin's largest real estate company at that time. And then I quit. The vision of the company I was with was that their agents worked for the company. And I'd constantly tell the owner at that time that I believed the company worked for the agent. If they just focused on building the agents and treating them right, then they would build the company bigger than they ever dreamed. Companies are nothing more than people. People create everything inside an organization. And what's going to make us better in the long term is the way that our people think. Our goal is to tap the way people think, take advantage of that thought process and put it to use for everybody. So in 1983, the experiment began. I left where I was and I partnered with Joe Williams, great guy. And we started Keller Williams Realty with just a handful of agents and some folding tables and chairs. By the end of the first year, we had netted over $100,000 and put it in the bank. In 2 years, we grew to over 70 associates and had become Austin's largest single office real estate company and number 10 in the market overall. And then the market fell out. It was 1986. We shrunk from over 70 associates to below 40 associates. And although we were still profitable, a new competitor moved to town and 5 of my top 10 associates, plus my entire administrative staff, walked out the door. To meet the new challenges in the market and stand up to my competition, I knew I had to reinvent Keller Williams. True to my beliefs, I started with agents. Gathering my top 13 associates, I asked this question: how can we run the company in such a way that you achieve everything that you want, and at the same time, we achieve everything we want? And here's what we came up with: the best possible commission structure we could think of, to be treating the agents like business partners, to profit share with access to the financial information, formalized input into how the business should be run through an agent leadership council, and supportive management who consults and promotes teamwork, the highest level of training we could think of. And we implemented these ideas in less than 2 years. Our company became number 1 in our market. Positive, never to be relinquished yet. Putting agents first was obviously a successful model. So we took it even further by devising a plan to organize top agents into a series of agent leadership councils, formally at the local, city, regional, and international levels. Most people think we're crazy when we share with them that we've actually turned the entire company's decision-making process over to our associates in tandem with our managers. But we have. The Agent Leadership Council, the ALC, was set up so that our salespeople could directly impact most of the decisions and all of the decisions that impacted them. But this revolutionary step gave Keller Williams tremendous credibility and was the catalyst for more actions aimed at putting agents in the driver's seat. Our open books policy, standardized accounting procedures, and published results. The result was growth. We began franchising in 1991 and expanded to Canada in 1998. By working one-on-one with masterminding with hundreds of top agents from across the country, we created a set of models that became the foundation of my first book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which I published in 2004. The book hit a nerve, found an audience. There were like-minded agents all over North America who found the answers they'd been looking for in that book. In the second half of the decade, as the crazy run-up in real estate prices started to backfire, Keller Williams Realty and our associates were uniquely positioned to seize the shift as an opportunity for growth. You see, Keller Williams Realty got its start during a rotten real estate market, and the hard-fought lessons that we learned during those years have really stayed with us. So we published Shift, which was a follow-up to The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. In it, we set forth a 12-point action plan for how top agents tackle really tough times. Shift became a national New York Times bestseller as our company and our agents took it up a notch, outpacing the market and proving that the market doesn't dictate whether or not we succeed. It only tells us how we're going to succeed. We launched the luxury homes division, which extended our reach into that segment of the market. We created Keller Williams Commercial, which is now the fastest growing commercial real estate company in North America. Pursuing our dream to bring the Keller Williams opportunity to the world, we opened Keller Williams Worldwide and have laid the groundwork for overseas expansion. Ensuring that our associates have what it takes to serve their clients and run their businesses with technological tools that are unmatched in the industry, we responded to the insights of the most tech-savvy associates among us and developed eEdge, one paperless loop for lead management, contact management, marketing, and transaction management. We're not a company that sits still. And it's all because Keller Williams Realty is in the hands of smart, determined, forward-thinking agents such as you. We're here to serve you. And we're very proud to be in business with you. And we're so glad you've decided to join us on this unbelievable ride.
So what I love about that is you can already tell, some of you, especially if you're with us right now as a current region, we do move fast as a company and we never sit still, like Gary said. Tools like eEdge have already started to be sunset in place of new programs, our platform, which we call Command. And of course, worldwide, we've launched Growth Share in addition to Profit Share. So we'll get into some of that language as we go along, because we want to make sure you understand what you have available to you to actually deliver locally. This company moves very, very quick. You'll see we have new logos and new look and feels. And so this is a pretty ever evolving company. And we're not afraid of changing when the world forces us to, and when we realize there's an opportunity within that. COVID has presented that challenge. Shift in the markets have presented that challenge previously. And as you'll probably hear from many of us and our regions, KW thrives in a crisis. It thrives in a very fluid, dynamic real estate industry, which for those of you that are living and breathing this for more than a few years, you know what we're talking about. This is a very dynamic, ever-changing industry, and you have to move fast to keep up. Very grateful for that, because without that kind of leadership, it's hard to stay relevant. It's hard to stay number one, and Keller Williams will be the company that can remain in that position if we stay humble, aggressive, and willing to adapt to what our agents need. What are your ahas or thoughts on that video so far, or what we've talked about this morning? I would like to open it up to you guys. We have a concept, like many of the Kellerisms you're seeing on the screen. We call it an aha. It's an idea that resonated or gave you additional ideas, or that really stayed with you that you've heard so far. And I'd like to open that up to you guys, but first start with asking April. April Mitchell, as I introduced before, has been with this company for a few years now and has seen it from two different views, both on an agent team in a market center and now as our Director of Franchise Relations for Keller Williams Worldwide. April, for you, what jumps out at you when you hear that history and what we've talked about this morning in your experience at KW?
I think what I love about it is you can tell from the way Gary looks in that video. He looks a little bit younger, different hair, still the same mustache, but it's still so relevant. Everything that he created years ago, it's still the same. You know, what I love about the company is that everybody thinks about the impact to the agent, whatever your role is, how is this going to ultimately impact the agent? And that was his vision and his goal when the company was started, and it still is his focus.
Yeah, that consistency. I know we talk that we change a lot, but Gary Keller will tell you, we've had leaders come and go. We have regions come and go. We have market centers that come and go. We, of course, have agents that come and go. It's impossible to be this big and not see people come into our business and out of our business. And while that is never something we want to see, it's part of being in the real estate industry. And yet the one constant seems to be the leaders who are building the biggest businesses in this company, Gary being the most obvious example. They just keep waking up every day, pouring back into their agents. And if that's what you're passionate about, this company should be a platform for you to build the biggest business and multiple streams of income for yourself by helping other people. And being that constant rock in an industry that's very, very fluid is, I think, the secret to Gary's success. He just wakes up every day and says, okay, I'm going to talk to my top agents again. I'm going to talk to my top agents again. I'm going to talk to my top agents again. And he never stopped for 36 years. And I love that you're sharing that. What else? Anyone else want to share an aha or a thought or even a question that you've got at this point? All right. We're going to get you guys some more coffee, and we're all going to start speaking up a little bit more as we go through this. Okay. So hang in there with us. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the business model itself. This is where I really want you guys to engage and ask us questions on this, because this is critical to understand. And while we don't have 2.5 days to go into it deeply, we want to make sure you fundamentally understand that you're launching a different business model. And this is where other companies very much differ from us in what they're bringing into different regions around the world. The short story on this little chart is that for decades, real estate was a traditional dependent model. I would argue, and you guys can correct me on this call if you feel differently, that most of our markets, especially outside the United States, are still operating as a dependent model, meaning the agents almost operate like employees of the broker. In some cases, they might even legally be an employee instead of an independent contractor who's working on commission only. Whatever the scenario, the dependent concept is one where the broker owner does everything, I'm in charge, and you're dependent on me. I feed you leads, I do all the branding, I'm in charge, and what you get is based on what I decide that you get. Now, some agents are attracted to that. We know that. But on the other side of that equation, after Century 21 dominated the market as a dependent organization, new models started to come in the late 1980s and early 90s, like RE/MAX, that brought this independent concept where actually you're not dependent on us. You're really an independent contractor running a sales business, and you really operate like a tenant or a renter in our business, meaning you pay us a desk fee or rent for your office space, and you keep the majority of the commission and pay us high fees rather than a big portion of your commission, because we're going to use that money and go build a brand. And we do the advertising and the logo, and it all looks beautiful, but really that's our relationship. We spend money on television and print and advertising, and you pay us high fees for that. And that's how we deliver value to you. The consumer knows who the company is, and then you list and sell, and that's our relationship. Well, if you know anything about real estate and you study it the way Gary and our leadership team have for decades, you begin to understand. And in the 1990s or late 1980s, Gary was forced to actually pivot and say, maybe there's a better way that's not dependent or independent, but actually interdependent. And that's what he had to create when these new models like independent disrupted him so much. And this is treating the agents like a partner, not a customer or a tenant, and not an employee, but actually a stakeholder in the business itself. And that's at the heart of a Keller Williams Market Center. If you do everything else in this book, but you don't think that way, speak that way, and show up every day for your agents, treating them as partners, this will not work. And that is exactly why our competitors have not been able to compete with us using our own models and systems, because they tend not to do that. People that want to copy this and take one piece here and one piece there don't usually sit and think about their agents as a partner, because they're building something for themselves. In the interdependent model, the agent is a stakeholder. And as Gary said in the video, they have a voice in the business. So you're actually sitting down operating as if they took the same financial risk as you, but they don't have to. They can benefit like an owner, but through your mutual benefit, meaning as they help your business grow, they're benefiting financially as well, and vice versa. So that's an interdependent relationship. And that's been the new model that Keller Williams brought to the industry in the United States since the early 1990s, and was solidified when we published the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book in 2003. And we've continued on that adventure ever since. And as the world changes, you'll see us really focus on building our businesses with our agents as partners, even if their businesses get complex and big. And that's what you'll see in our United States market centers, that crystal ball that takes them forward and shows you what an agent's business could be in smaller or more undeveloped markets. So while you don't need everything that has been built in this interdependent model, there are some key foundational pieces that Worldwide will bring to you that you should start with first as you introduce this new idea into the marketplace. Before we go any further, we wanted to be clear on the model that Keller Williams Worldwide regions have with their market centers. Because whether you're a market center owner or a regional owner or both, it's very important that we're clear on how you operate. On the United States and Canada side of our business, we have Keller Williams Realty International based here in Austin, Texas, where the KW Worldwide team lives and works. We franchise directly to market centers, meaning they are franchisees of KWRI. We do have regions in the United States, but they operate a little bit differently. There are regional representatives who help organize and support market centers in delivering the tools and systems that KWRI gives directly to the market center. Outside of the United States and Canada, our model has to be a little bit different for obvious reasons. Language, legal, currency issues require that we put a master licensee in place, a region. And that's typically an entire country. We have 50, 60 of those on the call here, or 50, 60 of you representing those regions on this call here. And KW Worldwide supports you. The region is franchising to the market center, which is the sub-franchisee, and like the United States, operates on 5-year licensing agreements. So it's important to understand that structure is a little different. Well, what does that mean? Well, for a region, it's a much bigger opportunity, but also a bigger responsibility. Because as we deliver the tools and systems of Keller Williams, the region needs to localize, translate those, and deliver them to your franchisees, meaning your market centers. So as market center owners, we have to be in partnership with our master licensee, our regional owners, to make sure that we're growing this business together. Because again, like our agents, if the market center succeeds, then the region succeeds. If the region's succeeding, then the market center succeeds. And without getting into the details, because our model is not like other companies, like Bill mentioned RE/MAX, we don't want hundreds of offices in every country. That's not our goal. This is not Starbucks. We do not want a shop on every corner. We want market centers that develop and maximize the territory that they've been awarded. And that might only be 1 or 2 market centers, or 5 market centers, or maybe 10 or 15 market centers. In some of our bigger countries, it might cap out at 30, 40, maybe 50 market centers at the most. In the United States, we have 150,000, 160,000 people in our organization, and yet we only have 830 offices. That's much different than what you've seen from RE/MAX and Century 21 and other companies that have entered your countries. Lastly, we want to make sure we're really clear on how we run our models and systems. There are 4 of them all wrapped inside this culture that help us grow and be productive and be profitable, like we talked about earlier. The economic model is one of the most important ones, and we'll go through that in chapter 2. How we organize our market centers is critical to run that economic model. And then you see in the bottom left-hand side, our productivity systems, the education, the training, the tools that we give our people so they can go be productive. And then our business systems. And you've heard Gary talk a little bit about that and some of that from this chapter, which is how do we conduct our business? ALC, open books, letting the agents be a stakeholder, sharing the revenue through gross share, and sharing profits in the United States through profit share. These are business concepts that are important and must be tied together with the other models. And then of course we have our culture around all of that. But what's important about this is to understand that regions are meant to support the market centers, and market centers are meant to support the agents. And this is critical because if we don't understand everyone's role, and as Bill said, everyone does their job, it'll be very difficult for you to be successful and scale as big as you want to get. And that takes us to a concept that I think is really important, and we don't talk about it in the book, but we want to wrap up this chapter because we've shared this with our regions. We've seen this shared in all of our companies around the world. I think it's an important concept when you're thinking about the mission, the vision, the values, and the model that you're implementing here as a foundation. I want to open up to you guys and ask you a question, and this is a live question, so I need somebody to answer. When a client has a problem or needs support, they're served by the agent. We know that. And when an agent is building their business, they're served by market centers. And market centers, like we're talking about, are served by regions. And regions in our business are served by and supported by KW Worldwide. So the first point I want to make here before we ask our question is, this is a flipped model. Right here, you see the visual representation of what you're building and where these different businesses are in relationship to each other. The clients and the agents sit at the top, and it's the agent's clients, not ours. We don't go around them. The region shouldn't go around the market centers. KW Worldwide shouldn't go around the regions, and so on. Does that make sense? Now we have a problem. Something happens. Something doesn't go the way we want it to go for our clients, this person buying or selling a property. So time for the live question. Who solves the client's problem? I'm looking at our current regions to answer this question because I think they know the answer. I hope you know the answer.
Clients.
Who was that? Gabby, was that you?
Client problems.
Miroslav, say that again.
Clients should resolve their own problem. We should assist them and guide them.
Gabby says clients solve their own problems and agents should guide and assist them. Miroslav, what did you say?
Just the same thing. My connection internet is lousy. So yes, the agents are there to help the clients. Clients should their own problems and so on.
I would check. I love that. I love that.
So Marco put in the chat box, JP, both agents and market centers.
Agents and market centers, right?
All together in region.
Yep. So I love your answers. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Miroslav. Thank you, Marco. And we've been talking about this a lot lately, and it's very, very important. They are exactly right. And Marco, agents and market centers do have a role to play. Absolutely. Like our market centers in the United States, while they don't interact with the clients on a daily basis, absolutely if something goes wrong, sometimes market centers need to get involved for legal reasons or whatever. However, there's an important and subtle, very, very hard to see difference. And Miroslav and Gabby said it. The client solves their own problem because it's the client that's doing the transaction. We're not buying and selling the property for them. They are buying and selling a property for themselves. The agent acts as a consultant, a fiduciary, an advocate to help the client through that transaction. If something goes wrong, yes, the agent supports the client, but it's critical that our agents understand, especially for legal reasons, that they can't make that decision for the client. They can't tell them what to do. They can only present the information, some experience, some support, some consulting, maybe even some coaching, even emotionally, because this is an emotional deal for buyers and sellers. It's a big deal to buy or sell a property and to move your family. The client has to be in charge to make their own decision and solve their own problem. Well, let's take that up a level. What happens when the agent has a problem? Who solves it for them? And this is where it gets hard to live this truth, because most of us have lived and built businesses in real estate taking care of our agents, so much so that they're dependent on us to run their business. And Keller Williams, while you are going to show up and be responsible to your agents, you're not responsible for your agents. And this is the answer to the question that so many people who approach Keller Williams at this stage, they really struggle with. How in the world am I going to have an office with 50 people in it? Are you crazy? That's impossible. I'll work nonstop 8 hours or 8 days a week, 25 hours a day. You know, it's just craziness. Of course that's impossible. And we see it the same way you do. But in a business like this, if you don't teach these agents to build a business and give them the tools to take and go build it by themselves on their own, but with your support, you cannot scale. So this is a fundamental shift on where the responsibility lies, because you are responsible to your agents, but you're not responsible for their businesses. It's up to them to take advantage of the opportunities you're providing. Market centers, who solves their problem? If you think your region's going to come in and solve all of your problems as a franchisee, absolutely not. You have to own this business, independently owned and operated. Legally, your region needs to consult you, support you, give you the tools, be your partner, because they legally are your partner. And yet the market center should be empowered to decide how to attract that top recruiting agent, to decide how to negotiate their own money in the economic model, to decide how big and what their goal should be. And as regions, we're not telling market centers how big they need to be. We're guiding them on what the market opportunity tells us it could be. Only a market center owner gets to decide how many agents they're going to have. And if their vision is not in alignment with the region's vision about that market opportunity, they should not be awarded the market center. This is fundamental to the idea that we are not selling offices around the country. We are awarding market center territory. And if a market center OP candidate does not think he can get more or she can get more than 20 agents in that market center territory, and the region believes it could be 75 to 100 sustained agents in that market center, then they should not be in business together. No matter how much money that person can raise or how much they can pay for a market center, we should not be awarding territory to somebody who doesn't think about it the same level that we do. But in the end, it's the market center owner's goal. It's their business, it's their problem to solve, and the region stands behind them to lift them up. Regions, you experience the same relationship with us. And I want to see some shaking heads, because we don't come in and tell you, this is your goal, this is what you must do. We hold you accountable. We provide support and coaching. But when you have a problem, we know our most successful regions, they take ownership of it immediately. Do they lean on us? Absolutely. Do we support them? We think we do. We believe that you would hear that we do at a very, very high level. And yet it's the region's business. So I'll just ask you this question as you go into this next chapter. When you take this opportunity on, are you going to choose for personal responsibility to be part of your company culture? We don't talk a lot about it overtly in our manuals, but I will tell you, after 16 years, I don't know how anyone could succeed in this organization without fundamentally believing that I'm going to take personal responsibility over my world, whether that's ownership of a market center, running my agent business, being part of the KW Worldwide team, whatever it is. If you don't have that concept and you don't model that the way Bill has modeled it for us, the way Gary Keller models it for all of us, the way our worldwide regions are modeling it for all of you that are on this call, if you don't do that, I think you're going to struggle with implementing these foundational models. So I encourage you to think about that and incorporate it in everything you're doing as you build a market center and a business worth owning. Okay, so with that, let's pause. Any ahas, questions, thoughts? We're going to switch gears into chapter 2 in a second, but before we do, I'd like to hear what you learned this morning. What did you get out of this morning that we covered?
I have an aha. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Claudia, and we'll come to Cheryl.
Sure. So as I'm listening to you just now, it occurred to me that when, the situation when we first started in Chile was very different as it is now. I had a whole team of people, employees helping me and a core group. And that changed after like maybe 4 or 5 months. And I continued the business alone, which hopefully it'll change quickly. I mean, in the next month or so. But until, for this whole period of time, I had been pretty much doing it all, which is crazy. But at the same time, you learn that you have to be a part of everything. Whether you want to or not, at some level, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be fixing problems, but I'm going to be guiding my agents. I'm going to be guiding my MCA, my team leader, etc. And it's actually been a pretty rewarding process. And I think that to make it grow and to make the agents be compromised and a part of it, you don't have to be there like every day for their every single need, but you have to be involved. And you have to be involved with KWW, and you have to be involved now more than ever with other regions too. Yep. So I think it's very important that we understand that, no, we're not going to solve every problem, but yes, we are going to be involved to make this grow and to make this, a business, a successful business. So that was my big aha, because basically we can't really assume or expect that we're just going to be sitting in our office and sort of like not talking to agents, because that's not our job, or not being aware of problems, because that's also not what we do, or not, you know, just not being involved. We don't have to, like I said, solve every problem, because with the tools that we give every MCA and we give our agents, they can solve their own problems. But you have to know what's going on in your market center. I happen to be the OP of the market center too. So I know what the problems are, but at this point, which wasn't the same in the beginning, I think that I knew about every single problem, and I just really, that's kind of like exhausting at some point. But more than that, right now, we have given the agents the tools that they know what to do, how to resolve those problems. And mainly they do it in groups. Like, you know, we have meetings every day since March 16. We have met every day for trainings at 3 o'clock. So in those meetings, one way or another, those issues, problems, questions will come up. And as a team, we'll resolve, you know, everything together. So that's my big aha. We're just not the typical brokerage company where the broker, like you said, you know, cleans the bathroom and puts the paper in the copy machine. We're just, you know, we're different. And it's a cultural thing. So that's my big aha. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Claudia. And we've watched your journey, right? You're evolving your leadership, and that's what we're talking about. You've given me ahas out of just what you're sharing. You're doing some really things, right? You are leveraging the network that you're a part of, and that's the key here, right? We've got to get our people engaged with each other, not just you as the owner. And so leveraging the other regions, leveraging the other agents in the market center. I mean, the whole concept of an ALC gives you a group of people who can become leaders in your market center. And we'll talk more about how to do that in this next chapter. The other thing you're doing is you're listening. And that's the tough thing for all of us, is if you're going to be engaged in the business and there for your people, which you have to be, it's not about going around and telling people what to do. It's going around and listening to what's going on. And then lastly, you know, if you're going to not be in everyone's business solving every problem, then you've got to grow. And only through growth can you as a leader go, okay, we're building this business, and yet I got agents who I can't save every single one of them. I can't be involved at every deep level, and they may come and they may go. But because in the back of my mind, I know I have a leadership group running this office who are growing it every day, and somebody who wakes up thinking about who's that next top agent I need to bring into the business, you as a leader can live in some sanity as the owner going, okay, we're going to lose agents, but that doesn't mean I have to freak out because one agent left. I know there are more coming, and I've got to pay attention to my business, but not be the person in charge of every little part of it. I think you're really, really showing us as you've been on this journey that grit, determination, and the willingness to evolve your own thinking is what successful leaders do. So thank you for sharing that, Claudia.
Thank you.
Cheryl, I think you said you had a comment, I think.
Yes, I do. Actually, it's more of a question. I've been studying the information that I have had, and my market is very well developed with franchises already here. I really love the KW model, and I think it's going to disrupt this market because of the growth share and what this model can offer to the agents. So I feel really confident about the possibility of recruiting agents. My question is recruiting at the office level, the broker, the owner, the office level, because even I'm an office owner, and even when I first saw the model, I thought, well, what about me? You know, are my agents going to go under this market center, and then all of a sudden we're not working as a team? So what is the value proposition at the owner level? Because our opportunity is to go not only and recruit agents, but maybe I don't need to recruit all of the agents from an office if I can recruit at the level of the office. But what do we say to them, and how do we prepare that? I'm thinking about a strategy to grow here. So with the agents, that's fine. But what about owners?
Great question. I love that. We're going to touch on that a little bit in chapter 2, but I'll give you some insights on some things that we've seen that work really well. When it comes to franchise companies, offices like a Century 21 or a Remax or any of these other American or non-American franchise systems where there's a franchisor and then a franchisee that's under an agreement, our number one piece of advice is don't go after the owner in those situations. You do want to take it down to the agent level. The reason for that is because it's a very risky and slow process and dangerous to your company and to that franchisee to go and solicit them out of a contract, an existing agreement, to become a KW office instead.
Okay, so excuse me, so then let's say they're unbranded. Let's just say that they're
independent.
Fulanito de tal, that's a Spanish saying, like whoever.
Yep.
There are many of them here too that are very well established local brands that are not under franchise agreements. So let's assume them.
That's who you focus on. And that's where you do have a unique opportunity. And you have to be very appropriate, right? We want to reach out to those owners, but if they're not interested at all, you still have an opportunity, because not that we want to put anyone in harm's way, but this business is about coming in and giving agents a home to come into. If you approach it right, bringing in an independent broker owner into your market center absolutely is a value proposition. Without spending too much time on this, I'll say very quickly, you're going to see in chapter 2 and chapter 3, as we talk about growth, that you're the one franchise system in the entire marketplace that allows that independent broker to keep their brand, potentially reduce their expenses by maybe even getting rid of the office space, especially now during COVID, bringing their team into a lower cost environment where they can rent offices inside your market center, and build additional streams of revenue. Meaning it might be appropriate to let them be a market center owner or have ownership in a market center. Might be appropriate not to do that, just bring them in, and on a commission split that stops at a cap, you have a lot of value you can show them when they say, well, why would I share my money with you? Well, we're going to cap the money you pay. You're going to keep your brand you've been building for 25 years. Your family can maintain that and continue that beyond. Keller Williams will never overshadow it. And through growth share, you're going to have a second stream of income. Not to mention, if you have ownership future opportunity, that's a third stream of income. And you can build your team and leverage our team leader and our training so that you, as the broker owner who have been building this for 25 years, do not have to continue doing that for the second half of your career. You can have a team leader and a training team that through the ALC actually help your agents grow, and without you having to do all of it. So there's some real leverage to give them time back, better quality of life, and more streams of income if they engage in the opportunities that you're building in your market center. So I'll stop there, but man, there's some really great opportunities when it comes to independent brokerages. Go ahead, Bill.
JP, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is a really great, important issue. Shirley really hit on something that I think is a good operational issue. Let me just explain a couple things. And this is one time when I absolutely wish we were all together in the same room, because then I could draw something, you could see it, and then we could all share information. But let's work on this the best we can with digital response. In the history of franchising, the brand was really good in the first phase. That really benefited the company. So that goes back to what we call Realogy today, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA. Those are the predominant brands. And they branded themselves, and they went on the stock market, and they became a publicly traded company, and it's really great. What they wanted to do at the same time was bring professionalism to the industry, for which we're all thankful. And they dressed people with that gold coat. It was the same thing that IBM did, with a blue blazer and gray slacks and that sort of thing, to bring professionalism. That was the mentality. Think of 1960, 1965, 1975, in that time frame. The next phase comes forward with a company called Remax, who says, hey, listen, we're going to combine those two. We're going to use the agent's money, but we're going to make the broker owner the beneficiary. It's really good for the broker owner. To give you an idea, in 1995, a Remax agent made about $126,000 a year, did 26 transactions in the United States. They were 47 years old, and they had 12.6 years in the real estate industry. That was an agent. The broker owner was 57 years old, made $450,000 a year, and did 26 transactions. How did they make money? They took all the best deals from the agents. They had between 33 and 43% turnover of their agents. So they were always just recruiting and turning those people over. The agents didn't matter. And I hate to say that, you know. I also hate to tell you, I was the designer of that system. You know, I know it. In order to grow, every region, and a region would be a country or a state, would have to sell a minimum of 23 to 33 franchises a year. And it didn't matter that franchises closed, because like the agent turnover, that gave you an opportunity of selling another franchise. So the measurement of the company growth was not based on production per agent, was not based on quality, was not quality of life, wasn't any of those things. The measurement of the company, the number one measurement was how many franchises did you sell? I have a really great trophy I'll show you. Weighs about 40 pounds. JP laughs at me every time I bring it out because I was the number one guy for 19 years to sell franchises. The question you have to ask is at that time is, what about the offices that closed and the lives that were ruined? And what about the agents who turned over and left? What about their lives that were ruined? So when JP talks about opening the proper number of market centers and having agents there and agents benefiting, that's a really good thing. You want to have lives worth living, careers worth having. That's a fundamental shift in the industry to go from company to office to individual. Now, when you want to grow in your own marketplace, think about this. You want to grow by going after those agents that will help you do what we call a hockey stick curve or a curve to come forward. And very often those are either new agents or growing agents or agents that are ready to go to their career or agents that want to learn or develop. My recommendation is do not go to somebody who already owns an office because they've been there they might have taken over their mom or dad's business. They're very proud of what they've built and they're kind of there. I call them Thursday to Tuesday. The reason why I call them Thursday to Tuesday is because they deserve to take some time off. So what they would do is they would work during the week and then they'd say, well, I want to take Saturday and Sunday off. I'll make the other people work. And then they say, well, why do I have to work? Why do I have to take time off on just Saturday and Sunday? I'm going to take Friday off as well. And then they say, well, why am I going to fight the traffic to drive back into the city on Friday? I'm going to leave Thursday night and I'm going to come back on Monday. So they're working a period of time and they're making the agents work, but they're taking the best deals. The office is set up for them. The name of the office is there. The history is there. So they're really identified with their personality of that office and they're not going to give that up. That's their culture. What you want to do is you want to go after number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 agents in there that are never going to open. They're never going to own it. They're not the son and daughter of the business, and they want their opportunity. They're never going to have their opportunity because that broker owner subjugates them and puts them into a hole and doesn't let them grow. How much training goes on in that market center, that office, Monday to Friday? Probably none. One of the reasons why in our market centers, digitally or in situ, do we have so much training and education, so many courses, because we want that agent to increase. And one of the things that we recognize is probably the OP isn't the person who has that skill as well. You're asking an OP to be a trainer. You're asking an OP to be the top agent. You're asking OP, as I was making a little bit of a joke before, to clean the toilet and empty the garbage and put the paper in the photocopy machine. At what point in time does the OP max out on their opportunity? That's why at the beginning of what I said is do your job, select the right people. At KW, we have a trainer in place, a TL that recruits and trains and spends their time with the agents developing their business. You have to make the agents feel really important. At Remax, I spent all of my time making the broker owner feel really important And when I got monthly numbers talking about agents turning over, the answer is it didn't matter. And I can remember writing email after email after email saying 30% of my offices are closing, 33% of my agents are leaving. What do I do? And the answer was go get somebody new. So one of the fundamental things for me, JP was asking April why she joined. One of the fundamental things for me was I got tired of watching really good people ruin their lives and careers by turning over and going someplace else. This should be, as JP said, what Gary created, a place where people would want to come and be there for their career and have a voice in how to operate that business. And I'm really passionate about that part. Now, we've heard from JP earlier, but we all know that JP is not the most famous Lewis. Who is the person that we all want to hear from and see more than JP Lewis on the planet?
Is it this person?
Well, maybe. Jen, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Happy belated Father's Day, Bill.
Thank you so much. I saw your postings on Facebook yesterday with your family and all the nice things that you were saying. I said to JP last night, you have the greatest family. Everybody was happy and smiling. The kids were doing all the things that they were supposed to be doing. It's just, I'm very jealous. You have a wonderful family.
Thank you very much. Well, she made it, so.
It takes two.
I want to say thank you, Bill, for sharing what you thought. Like, your experience is, we just can't replicate that anywhere else in the world. So you bring that to our regions every day. I want to thank you for bringing it to this class. Cheryl, I want you to know that what Bill's saying is absolutely so valid, and we'll unpack that a little bit more, especially in the growth chapter, because the way we grow our market centers is really important. Keller Williams is not about entering into this marketplace, and to think that we're going to put people out of business or even want to put people out of business is crazy. We need to approach the right people that have this opportunity as the next natural step in their career. Sometimes it's an independent owner, but that can be a difficult pathway to run. The agents are typically the first place to go, like Bill's saying, and attract those productive agents into these market centers. As Bill pointed out, the more famous of our family, Jennifer Lewis, Jen Lewis, my wonderful wife, joined this company in 2013 as an agent. And I've asked her to join us for a few minutes before we dig deep into chapter 2, because she also happens to have been so successful that, not that I was surprised, totally expected, after 3 years, recruited into being a team leader in a market center. So Jen has a unique opportunity or perspective on this company and some of the concepts we've been talking about. I thought it would be really productive to hear from somebody who's lived both those roles, since that's what you're doing. And also, she happens to be down the hallway. So, Jen, will you introduce yourself real briefly, just about kind of your role and when you joined Keller Williams in 2013?
Sure. Hi, guys. I am Jen Lewis. I joined Keller Williams in 2013, February of 2013. I got my license. I had 12 years in technology. Before that, I was a software development project manager for IBM, and he plucked me out. I joined Wendy Papazan's team that year. I also got to be so lucky as to work with Miss April Mitchell, who I know you guys all know so well. She was our director of operations for a few years, and that was so fun. I'm so glad I still get to see your face through these two. And then I ended up being lead buyer specialist, lead listing specialist, and then ended up wanting to go into more of a leadership role. And I found myself 7 years later now as a team leader at the Southwest Market Center. I'm super honored and feel very blessed to be at one of our biggest offices with some of the most amazing, talented people in the industry to work with. And so now, instead of waking up every day thinking about going out and helping an individual client, I get to wake up every day and think about helping all 917 of our agents, which is what our agent count is as of this morning.
917 agents. That's how big this could get. Obviously, not in every market, but if you're in a big major metropolitan city, a market center that has hundreds of agents is absolutely possible. Just check out what's happening in France, Portugal, even Jamaica went up to over 100 agents in about a year and a half. And they started at 7. So whatever your market opportunity is, you probably need to raise it because it's probably bigger than you think. I know that we're experiencing that here in Austin. So 2 quick questions at the beginning. One is, real briefly, you came in as an agent in 2013 with no real estate background, real estate's a second career for most of us around the world. And in your case, that's also true. Why, as an agent who had to wake up every day thinking about your own business, and you did not get paid a salary, you were on commission. Yeah. So if you didn't close something, we didn't make any money and we didn't feed our kids, basically would be the reality.
Right.
Why would you see value in a market center that did not feed you leads or take care of you and give you business? Describe that relationship if you don't mind.
Sure. So it was scary coming in, working in commission. Of course, that was something that leaving a salary was not an easy thing to do. And yet when I sat down with the people in our office, my team leaders, the business owner of the team I worked on, Wendy Papazan, there was this whole education around building a business. And I didn't know that that's what real estate was like. I only knew there was, a 60-year-old woman that lived down the street from us that sold houses. Like that's all I knew about real estate prior to getting into this. And when sitting down with, like I said, our leadership in our market center and on our team, and understanding that you could really build a business and have a P&L and understand what your return on investment was, and really set goals and do activities that match those goals so that you could attain the economic value at the end of the year you were searching for. It really opened my eyes to a whole different playing field of, okay, this is really a business and a career I can build that is solely dependent upon how hard I work, and the income that I receive on the other side of it is really reflective of that. And that's something that was really a driving force for me as a new agent. The lead situation, I guess I never really thought of joining a team where someone gave me fishes. I guess I was on a team, so I received some fishes from the team, but I was always expected to go out and fish myself. So I think, just as we're taught as kids, and no matter what your religious background is, that you get a whole lot more out of people when you teach them how to do something. When you bring a horse
bring a horse to
water instead of bringing the water to them, like that. All the analogies around that are really true. And yes, it may be harder to build that business in the beginning, but the long-term effect 7 years down the road and where I am today, no way would I be there if I had just been getting leads all day long.
So in Jen's case, she did join a team. If you've read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, right? We all have seen this. Gary talked about it a second ago. There was a team that hired her, and she worked on there on commission. But even if you're not on a team, and you certainly experience value from the market center itself, you have exposure to, I heard, a team leader, other top agents who I guess were willing to share and pour into you. And that's a big part of our culture. We're creating market centers where agents want to share and learn. That's the key to the Agent Leadership Council, is that you're setting that expectation for your top salespeople that in this marketplace, they're not responsible for the other newer agents, but they all win through growth share and other tools by helping each other grow. It makes the market center stronger. It makes everyone's numbers stronger and builds their businesses by helping others in the market center. What else were some key things? Like, I think you went to a lot of training. What is it that the market center had set up that you really got value out of as an agent building your own business?
I mean, Ignite for one. So
the Ignite training that Kellogg University offers, you went to that in the training room.
All of it, and now I teach it.
And you're teaching it online. So any market centers or regions that aren't teaching online right now, it is possible. We have evidence. She's teaching it every day or every month.
Yeah.
Go on.
I think our leadership was really good about, our team leaders were always really good about, hey, if this is the path that you're going down, here's other training you can go to, and here's a MAPS coach, and here's, go to Mega Camp and go to these breakout sessions. And I think, like you said earlier, the culture in the office, if you walked down the hallway or came to a sales meeting and asked for something, 95% of every agent sitting in the room would say, oh, yeah, I have that. You can have a copy of it. Here's my buyer presentation. Here's my listing presentation. Here's what my business cards look like. And here's where I bought them. And here's who I used to get my logo. I mean, the sharing was unbelievable. And when I talk to new agents now as a leader, as a team leader in the office, and they're asking me like, oh, well, can't you just give me my signs and my business cards? And we start talking about money in a different way. you know, if you make that extra $500 investment by joining KW and buying all of those things yourself, then you'll have them forever, and you can change them and make them who you are. And you can have your name on the sign, and you can determine how your leads are routed. And I'm not going to do that for you because you don't want me to do that. It might sound great in the beginning, but a year, 2 years down the road, when you have a pretty sustainable business, you're not going to want me to take those leads from you anymore, but we're going to be in that relationship. And is that what you want?
Yeah. The great thing about an interdependent model, like we've been talking about this morning, is that if you grow, remember, our ownership has to understand there's a team leader who's growing this business. You're going to attract top salespeople who want to build a bigger business. And they only can do that when they've maxed out their personal capability and capacity. They can only grow their sales business by adding other agents or an administrator. So as a team leader sitting there in a market center with a rookie who comes on and says, well, I want you to do all that for me. I'm not really interested in a market center where I build my own business. Your team leader can simply say, well, you know, I have this wonderful agent who's a top performing salesperson who's looking for really good talent, newer talent to come onto their team and be in a more dependent relationship, a relationship where they're doing the lead generation. They've already bought the signs. They've already built their business, and they can work with you in a way that you don't have to take on that responsibility yourself as much. Let me introduce you. That's how a team leader grows in an interdependent model, because that's an opportunity for our agents who want to build even a small team. That's appropriate and one of the best avenues your team leader has, so that the market center doesn't get pulled back into what your current industry or marketplace may want, which is agents to be treated like children or dependents. Not all agents want to be treated that way. If you go find the ones that are independent and strong and want to grow, an interdependent model gives them the safety of a market center where they're sharing and support and a very robust training calendar. And Jen was a huge beneficiary of that. She went to all the training, and there was always 3 or 4 things going on per day, Monday through Friday. That is they're going to attract top people who want a little bit more community, a little bit more help, but still want to run their business. And then there's the other agents who we all face that want complete support. They can join teams, and they can even go into other things like we'll talk about later, like the productivity coaching program. As a team leader now, what are the most critical things you think our potential market center owners need to know that really are supporting you as a team leader? Because you have ownership, you have a team leader role, you've got a market center administrator. Some of these roles we're just learning about in this next chapter. When you think about going in as a team leader now, what are the most important things for the market center to be doing for it to be successful?
So many. I think running like a real team inside the market center has been really important. We have a lot of communication between our OP and our team leaders and our PC coaches, and everybody is part of the recruiting process. I think that's also important, especially when you're smaller. So I'll talk a little bit from our business center perspective, because that might be the size of some of the market centers you guys will be building.
So there's an office in Austin. Let's just call it a market center for the sake of this discussion. How many agents are in that office?
I have one with 60.
Okay, so she's got 60 agents, which is much that you're managing. And tell us a little bit more about how you approach that as a smaller office.
Yeah, so we have individual sales meetings with those folks that are in a specialized area. And I have one-on-ones with them from a business consulting perspective. And then we also bring training to them that's not just my voice or our OP's voice. But we're always talking about what that next thing is, like what else do we have to bring to them as a leadership team? So again, not just me, but our productivity coach and our OP, and now our ownership, because Gary Keller is our owner, also just bringing value to that. And I think even though we are so big and successful so far, there's still so much more growing that we can be doing. And we're doing it right now, just like you guys are, with making changes. And I think we speak minimum once a week with Gary, and then because he's our owner, and we speak at least twice a week with just the team leaders and the operating partners and PC coaches as a staff. And we do that on Zoom right now because we can't be together.
Yeah.
And it's really important.
COVID has increased this at all levels, and our current regions can certainly speak to that as well. But you're hearing ownership is active. In a market center in our system, you might have one, two, three, maybe four, or even five owners at the most of a single market center. But that ownership group, as you're going to see in this next chapter, is represented by an operating principal. We call that an OP. OPs have to be communicating actively with the leadership team. If Jen as a team leader is not hearing from the OP because he or she is passively owning this and living somewhere in the Caribbean, that is not our model. That might be the way if you own multiple RE/MAX offices and your whole job is to sell them and collect royalty. This is about building profit in this office and supporting the team leader who's running it. So the OP represents the ownership group. And while not every investor is as active, the OP has a job. That job may not be in the physical office, but it absolutely requires consistent communication at least once, twice, maybe three times a week. And personally, maybe at least a digital-based ongoing daily relationship of coaching and support and cheerleading for your team leader who's working so hard to run this office for you. So ownership in KW isn't like other businesses. This is a gritty, boots on the ground local business, and it needs an OP who's engaged.
Yeah. And I mean, anytime I need Diane Johnson, she's our operating partner at KW Southwest, I can text her, I can call her, I can say, hey, I need 30 minutes with you. It's a very open relationship. And she does work in the office as well. But now even again with Gary, and you guys all know how busy Gary Keller is, he is spending an hour a week with us every Thursday. We get an entire hour of his time. So it is not, he's taking it just as seriously as he expects everybody else to. And it definitely makes a big difference because there's no way to do the changes that we're looking at making or grow the way that we're looking to grow without all of us being on board together.
Yeah. And that's why we say you got to wake up loving this business, because in times like COVID, and it's not always this way, there are times when Gary didn't spend that much time with the market center, but under COVID, he's role modeling for all ownership at all levels, the way we have to deal with our businesses right now. Not because our profits are going down or maybe times are tight. We're recovering just fine. What it's really about is those agents and market centers that weren't prepared for this crisis and are going to possibly lose their business. And how do we help them move forward and come out of this better than they were when they arrived? For last piece of advice for our folks, if I was opening a market center or hiring a team leader, what are some key things to keep in mind to make that team that you said that works together so well, so fluidly in the market center?
I mean, when you're hiring people, it has to be somebody who wants to be around people and who really is going to care about others. We have everyone on our staff, I think, comes from a servant leader heart place where we really care about the others more than we care about ourselves. So I don't wake up every morning thinking about what can I do better today? It's what can I do better for my agents today? What can I do to help train them? What can I do to help them during COVID? And right now that was a big focus. And I think when you hire people like that, the rest is easy because they all want to work together and they all want to work for the agents, not for themselves.
Yep. Let's talk real quick and then I'm going to let you go because we're going to take a break in just a little bit, guys. I know we've packed a lot in 2 hours. Now you're recruiting and we think about everyone else and I you know how much I believe in that, but how do you get compensated? Why would you go pour yourself into all these people as a team leader? You're just getting paid a flat salary? How does team leader compensation at a high level work?
Yeah, I mean, basically, no, my salary is not very high. I get a small base salary and then we are all dependent upon the profitability of our office. So a lot of my pay comes from the profitability of the office. And then a small amount of my pay also comes from individual recruiting goals. So how many recruits I bring in, whether they are brand new or their existing market share, there's a different level of bonusing that happens for that.
Got it. As an agent, an experienced agent, has the ownership ever come to you and said, hey, could you help us out this month and go out and list and sell some property in addition to recruiting?
No.
Do you think that's feasible for somebody to be a team leader and list and sell property at the same time?
No.
Why
I mean,
not?
Having been a productive agent and knowing what it takes to really work with a client, I could not wake up every day and do what I do if I was also selling real estate. I do refer property, so I get referral fees from the agents that I refer dollars that business out to. And gosh, honestly, for 25%, which is what we somewhat do here in the US, that's not standard. no commissions are
No
standard,
fixing.
right? No fixed commissions. It benefits me because I make a little bit of money off of the business that I gave up to do this that I love. And it benefits a bunch of our agents in the office that I'm giving them business that they can go out and run. And I think it's a good relationship both ways. And it allows me to focus on what I'm here for, which is not to help those individual clients, it's to help the entire market center. There's just no way to do both.
So you're not just a kind-hearted soul. You're somebody who has wealth-building goals of your own. You're making money through a low base salary, which is probably right at or just above the poverty level here in the United States, to be fair.
Yeah.
But if the market center is profitable that month, you get a very hefty payout from that, depending on how much profitability there is.
Right.
Then there's a third piece where you're bonused. And again, this is the market center owner's decision. This isn't a Keller Williams thing. The owner has to decide when you hire that team leader, what's the compensation package? And it can be creative, but it's usually a base salary, some sort of bonus based on hitting profitability, or some kind of advance until you get profitable. Then you've got bonuses if you recruit enough people or hit certain metrics each month. Then you have a referral opportunity because you still operate as an agent. People come to you and want to buy a property. You refer them to an agent and earn a portion of that commission because the agent negotiates a referral with you. And then lastly, but not part of your overall compensation, you can also build your profit share or growth share tree if somebody names you. But remember, as a team leader, it's their job to recruit. They should be naming, the person joining should be naming other agents in the market center, not the team leader. But occasionally, if somebody truly comes in only through the team leader's efforts, team leaders sometimes get named, which is really just icing on the cake. That's not a compensation model. So please understand, your team leaders are not bonus because of growth share. That will kill the culture of your market center.
It will. And just this last month, I had to tell 2 recruits, please don't name me. And they had named me, and I went back to them and said, this is who really sent you to me. I want to make sure that you understand why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because you're now a member of our office, and I care about you building your profit share tree. So should you send me somebody, please know I'll do the exact same thing I'm doing now. It's not because I don't want to be your sponsor or I don't want you to give me that benefit, because sometimes people get a little weird. They're like, well, why are you giving that back? And I just say, because I want you to understand that this is my job and I will do it for you too. So how awesome is that when you know you can send them to me and I'll make sure that they go right back to you.
Yeah.
It just creates again, the culture in the market center where people don't worry about it.
If you're going to succeed through your people, then you have to do that. Your team leaders have to do that, especially with your agent leadership council, who should be the biggest growth share earners by referring people to the team leader that the team leader can go recruit. The team leader is bonused off profitability of the office, not off growth share from people that are referred in. Just like everything in real estate, we honor the referral. And if an agent referred me a recruit, I need to honor that agent for referring me. And that's how we build that culture where everybody wants to grow the market center. You will kill it if your team leader is taking those people for themselves, or the owner says, well, that's how my team leader gets compensated. That is not our model. Jen, I want to say thank you so much. I know you have a recruiting appointment actually to go to right now. Recruiting can happen over Zoom, everybody. So if you're a current region, make sure your market centers haven't stopped or slowed down. If anything, it makes it more efficient. So thank you for taking some time to be with us. Let's do a little golf clap for Jen.
Yay, Jen.
I'm sorry we can't spend more time. She is by far the smarter of the 2 Lewises and the most famous. And we just don't have enough time to fit it all in. But we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of what a team leader really goes through, especially because a lot of great team leaders have been agents before. They don't have to be the best that ever lived, but they do need to understand the business or be able to learn it. And like Jen said, wake up every day with a passion to engage with people. So this next chapter is going to really fill in a lot of what you heard Jen talking about. So if there's any questions as we go, we can kind of put it together so you understand that there's the real world of waking up and being a team leader and running an office. And then there's this model that you see her modeling and doing every day. So for now, we're going to take a break. I'm going to put on the screen a 10-minute clock. I want you to take 10 minutes for yourself, catch your breath, grab some coffee, some food, some whatever you need, go to the bathroom, and we're going to come back in 10 minutes exactly. Sound good, everybody?
And just a reminder, don't log out and log
you.
in. Just you can turn your camera and your microphone off.
Perfect. I'll put some music on so you know we're still here, and we'll see you in 10 minutes, guys. All right, everyone. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
There we go. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. We're going to get started right back where we were, and we're going to dive into chapter 2. Let me just get us back on the screen here. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to let us spend so much on the foundational models, and also hearing from Jen and Bill on kind of these concepts that are critical at the market center level. Let's talk in a little bit more tactical now about running or I should say building a market center that builds itself. So here's some key factors that you're going to see in your manual. And if you're following along with us, you should be right around page 37 at the beginning of chapter 2. So the key factors for your market center success, I can't express it enough how important it is to take note of a couple of these pages, because we have seen for decades and in worldwide for the last 8 years that this proves to be true no matter which market you're going into. The great simplifier of our business in all global real estate markets is that you're launching a people business, right? And people are pretty much the same when it comes to human needs all around the world. And a big part of this in a sales business is who you're inviting into the market center to lead it, run it, and own it. And that is a universal truth across multiple countries. And there are differences about the business or specifics, but this core foundational piece of how you build a market center is true in everywhere we've gone. Number one, you must start with an iconic OP. That's that Diane Johnson that Jen mentioned, right? A leader who is known in the marketplace, respected in the marketplace, and can represent the interests of the other owners. A rock star team leader. What do we mean by rock star? Well, somebody who wakes up on fire every day to build something. And that's the type of people we're wanting to bring into this role. Not just an employee who's going to do what the OP says, but somebody who can bring their own passion and be incentivized to build wealth through their income as being a team leader. And so somebody has to really want to wake up and build this, because the OP stands behind the team leader, allowing the team leader to really look like the CEO of the market center, the leader who's running the show, and they should be allowed to do so. A phenomenal market center administrator, or MCA. In the organizational structure, you'll see that the MCA needs to be very strong. This is not just a bookkeeper or someone who does the financials. This is a leader who pays attention to the numbers and understands what's going on to the inside the market center as agents get paid and as their businesses go up and down.
And JP, I would add one quick thing. Like Jen mentioned, all of these people are helping to recruit, right? It's not just the team leader that is recruiting. So all of these people that you're talking about should be able to help you, can help the market center recruit and grow.
Yeah, like Jen mentioned, and they need to operate like a team, right? Now, April got to see that from a very unique perspective, because being on a team, she got to interact with the MCA, the team leader, and the OP, who, as Jen mentioned, was active in the market center. And I would say, April, you probably saw all of them at different levels. There was always some sense of value coming from them, not just only the team leader.
Absolutely. Even your director of first impressions, everybody, even including the receptionist, was constantly pouring value into the agents in the market center.
Their investor group can do the same. You need an incredible investor group. The more active they are, the more they pour into the market center, the faster you're going to grow. The less they do, the more responsibility is put only on the OP and the team leader. So anyone that's got a financial stake in this, if you're explaining your vision of how big you want it to be, they should have a stake in participating. And it's perfectly appropriate to put expectations in your operating agreement with your investors that they refer talent to the team leader to help grow this market center. If our ALC is expected to do it, and those are just agents in the market center, then investors should be expected to do it as well. Open with a certain number of producing agents, meaning your region should work with the market center owner to set a standard for how many agents that are actively producing business should be in the market center when it opens, meaning not in a physical building, but willing to join, signed a letter saying, hey, I want to join if this person's going to open the first market center. I want to be a part of it. Your market center should open with a set number of producing agents based on the expenses that the market center needs to be able to cover. This market center, a great launch should mean they quickly become the dominant company. They literally move the conversation to a new way of delivering value to agents and put all the other competitors on notice. Their first monthly close, they should have a set number of agents that the region works with you to define, meaning they don't just launch with a set number of agents, but by the time they first transmit into the system, which is typically 90 days after their market center effective date, when they sign the agreement with you and they say, this is the date this agreement is effective, 90 days from there, they should be transmitting data up through the system. Well, to do that, they just need to have agents that are producing, close that business, and report it in the system. Well, there should be a set number of agents that the region wants to have as a standard, but that the market center already sees that they can do and in the agreement that they make with the region. They should be implementing the economic fundamentals, which you'll see in your manual in a few pages, and create a GPS or a goal, priority, and strategies list and follow it. They should have a plan and they should work it. Why do businesses fail? Any business, but especially in Keller Williams, they have a lack of a clear mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. They're just entrepreneurial about how they're going to do it. They have no pro forma or profit and loss statement. They have no idea whether they're making money, how much money they need to make in order to be profitable. There's just a lack of clarity, as you can see in number 1 and 2. Number 3, probably the most important and the one I want you to star, is the failure to recruit the right people. You're bringing an unknown model into a marketplace. To capture lightning in a bottle, you need influential people who are excited and passionate about this new model. Even if it's just 1 or 2 in the beginning, that will compound and grow if you have the right people. If you don't, or you recruit the wrong person who has not left great relationships behind them in their career path, that's going to be a problem. No celebrity core group, meaning there's nobody else that's influential or that has done business that other agents look up to. When we say celebrity, we mean people that are respected in the real estate practice of listing and selling real estate. So if you have opportunity to invite top producing agents who you want to be in business with, when you can invite them into your core group, that can be very powerful. The wrong team leader, typically that is somebody who doesn't like people, doesn't want to recruit, doesn't want to spend time teaching and training, doesn't want to help others, and really just sees the team leader job as a way to not have to list and sell and just get paid a salary. That would be a wrong team leader. The wrong OP would be someone who just wants to own a business passively and not actually put any time, energy, or support into the market center. They really don't want to think about it. They saw it as a cash, passive investment that should pay them a dividend. That would be the wrong OP choice. Edwin, I think you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about the recruiting the right agents. We're going to start a market center in the 1st of October probably. But when do I start? Do I wait until then, or can I start now approaching top agents here?
That's a great question. I don't think you should wait at all. Now, obviously, you have a process with Lisette you're running, and we need you to be at certain milestones before you start talking about Keller Williams very aggressively. But I'll let Lisette and you define the right time. But as early as you and she agree, I absolutely think there's no time that's too early to start getting into a relationship with top producing salespeople. And the reason I'm so liberal about that is because your whole strategy for recruiting, and this goes to what Cheryl asked about earlier, isn't to go sell Keller Williams to anybody. If anything, you should start right now to talk to top people in your marketplace, especially yours in Aruba, because there's so much community there and everyone knows each other. I'd be willing to bet there's an opportunity to go deeper in the relationships you have with top people in your marketplace without ever saying the words Keller Williams. And what that means is, as you'll see later in the growth chapter, recruiting isn't about selling Keller Williams or promoting growth share or mentioning any of the things that we have. It's going and consulting top producing salespeople about their own business, what their goals are, and where they are today, and identifying the gap between that in a safe and productive way that helps them be heard and actually know that you're somebody who cares about them closing that gap. And that, yes, maybe if you're starting a new business, there's opportunity to give them tools to close that gap. But there's a fundamental difference in the way that we approach these recruiting conversations. This is not KW is the greatest thing ever and Remax is terrible. We don't even have to talk about it. But what we should be doing always, and we should never stop, is going into the marketplace and getting into a relationship in a professional and friendly way with our top producing salespeople who are doing the most business. And even if they never join you, you're going to get a lot out of the relationship by getting to know them and their business and what they're trying to do in that marketplace. Also, what's going on in the market. That's an easy way to start these relationships. But then over time, you're waiting out your competition. That broker who's going to upset them, forget their birthday, not celebrate the big closing they had, or whatever it might be, and you're the person who stayed in a relationship with them. And if they join you now or they join you much later after you launch, it doesn't matter. You're always going to stay in a relationship with them because that's what this business is. To run a market center, especially one in Aruba, your new job is not to list and sell and meet all the clients. It's to have somebody who owns that part of your previous business for you. And now you get to go and know and be in a relationship with all the best agents who are going to bring you the best clients by building their business inside yours. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
I think you're absolutely asking the right question. Start now, but remember, you start selling Keller Williams and what's coming. Now you've put a ticking clock on yourself. And that's pressure you don't need. Just go get into a relationship with them. And when the time is right and you're ready, invite them to come to a training or a class or to meet some of your other leadership group. And everything will come naturally after that without all the pressure of having made promises or sold something.
I understand. We'll do. Thanks.
Great question. The wrong agent mix. Well, what's the right agent mix? Well, I'll give you this in real simple terms since we're running a truncated class. The wrong agent mix would be all new people who've never been in real estate before. The wrong agent mix might be only 5 or 10 cappers because you don't want any new people. The wrong agent mix might be a bunch of low-level producers and no cappers, nobody that's really great, and no rookies, just kind of the middle of the road and you're just there. That's all the wrong mix. The right mix that you're striving for, and you may never achieve it, but you're always keeping it as your standard is breaking that group into thirds. There's your top producing agents who easily cap, right? We call them cappers and above. And then there's the individual and middle agents who are full-time professional agents. We love them. And that's going to be the majority of your population in your market center. But they're not necessarily always capping. They might be hitting half the cap or sometimes they cap, but they're productive full-time agents. And then you have another third that are your new people who have just gotten into real estate or have never sold real estate before. And if you have your agent population mixed that way, you're on the right track because your cappers and above will cover your expenses because they're always in business and they aren't coming and going from the real estate industry, and their production will be fairly stable. Your middle group will be your profit. And as you grow them and help them become more sustained cappers and maybe even grow and build a team, they become into that upper group. But not everyone will do that. And we know that to be true, but you'll have a majority of people who sell 5 or 6 deals a year and that's all they ever want to do. And that's okay. But then you have the middle group, which is what we call the bottom group, which we call the gold mine. And that's new people who you don't know what they're capable of. But you can really generate some great profit by helping them get to a half capper or even capper status through your coaching programs and the training that you're offering at scale inside the market center. That's a proper agent mix. Why else do they fail? Inability to implement KW systems and culture. The irony of this whole thing that we're talking about is that we're asking entrepreneurs who've been very successful in their own skill set to go and do what the book says. And I think everyone on this call knows how hard that is, right? We're used to pulling ourselves up and building businesses and being scrappy and gritty and trying things out and being creative and taking on risk. Now you have to internalize that and remember how valuable that is, but also apply it to what others have done before you and try to respect that people have lived before us, they have failed, and there's no reason for us to repeat those failures. Let's do it the way the model says to do it. And that's a tough thing, especially in worldwide, because there's local differences. But I will tell you, look at the human truths that are in this and know your salespeople, and that will guide you on how to implement these models effectively. A failure to maintain focus, be accountable, and make others accountable. The issue of accountability is huge in our company. We talked about personal responsibility. The willingness to show up and say, I did not do that. That is on me and I can correct it is something that's critical in our organization, because it's not about pointing fingers. Accountability is not saying who's at fault. Accountability is saying who's responsible for picking the ball back up and moving it forward. If it's the person that dropped it, fine. Let's help this person pick it back up and move it down the field. But let's not sit and waste time pointing out why they failed or how they failed, or that they're the wrong person, that it's their fault, not mine. Accountability is about, well, great, whatever, we failed. What did we learn? Now let's try not to repeat that mistake and let's move forward. That's accountability. And being willingness to be held accountable is the most critical part of that. Failure to create empowered leadership and develop teamwork. Like Jen said, you can't have an OP who walks in and everything else is off the table because the boss is there. The OP needs to walk in and celebrate the team leader as the leader of the office. The team leader is to celebrate the way the MCA shows up and supports agents. And it's about teamwork, not one person. The inability to control expenses and lead with revenue. When we get to the 25 economic fundamentals, this is a critical piece we all have to understand, and that is you have to watch your expenses in this model. You cannot feed every agent with everything that they ask for. You can't solve every problem because you'll go broke. You've got to manage your expenses well and teach your agents through example that managing expenses is how you succeed and achieve profitability in real estate. And then, of course, an unsuccessful launch. If you struggle at launching, you're going to struggle over time. So your launch is critical, because if you struggle at the launch, you have to have some sort of relaunch where you build that momentum back up and you let the market know something new has happened. You've recruited somebody really exciting, or your ownership has changed, or maybe the team leader that didn't work out has been replaced. And now we have a new exciting team leader. That requires more lift. So if you can do it right on the first time, you'll have more success on the long term. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of an exercise in a second. We're going to take only 3 minutes to do this, and you can do this individually, but I want to challenge you, and I'd like to hear from you at the end of the exercise on this concept of benchmarking and trending. This is important as you go into the idea of building a market center, because you're going to build these market centers inside a territory where other businesses already exist. So one of the most important things you can do before you start defining the model is to figure out, well, what is everyone else doing? Lisette's been doing this with a lot of you based on an example area, or in the case of Edwin and Aruba and his team, they're going to launch one market center for the whole market. So they're already looking at this deeply. For our bigger territories as a region, you have to help your OPs of a certain market center territory evaluate that territory before you actually award the market center to them. So this means sitting down and doing something we call benchmarking and trending. A benchmark is simply just identifying who's number one. And you've got to then identify the higher standard to one up them or to set a new benchmark. And then, of course, you don't want to be so far ahead of the curve that you're too out there for people to really get it or to think you're going to be able to pull it off or be successful. A good example of this would be your split cap, which we'll get into. Many of you have heard this concept already. What's the compensation structure for the agent? In the United States, for many years, it's been 70% to the agent and 30% to the office, up to a cap. And the cap is the amount of money the agent pays to the market center through that 30% split. In the United States, most market centers have a cap around 18 to 20,000 US dollars per year. So every 12 months, through my commission split, should have paid the market center about 18 to 20,000 if I cap. If I never cap, then maybe I pay them half that or whatever my commission allows for. But if I'm a top producer or a successful producer, I should be probably paying the cap every year within a couple months or maybe even a couple weeks if I'm really good. But that split cap is the competitive compensation package here for most parts of the United States. Well, that's been the way it's been for 30 years. Today, you're starting to see a new benchmark, more like 80-20. In some areas, it's 90-10. And you're seeing Keller Williams market centers adapt to that. They're starting to look at, well, maybe we should be an 80-20. And maybe the cap should be 16,000 instead of 18. Or maybe it should even be 12,000. That's setting a new benchmark or trying to one-up the current benchmark because the ball is moving and the trend is changing. So before we begin anything, I would like to challenge each of you to take 3 minutes and I'll put up a little timer. And I want you to look at your local market and think about some of these concepts you're starting to see in the following pages. You're going to see them in fact, I'll bring those up on the screen here right now. You're going to see some of these in your manual in this chapter 2 section, because this is where we start focusing on what's going on in our current markets. And they give you some really wonderful pages here to actually figure out what is it that the current competitors are doing. And now this won't all apply in our markets because we all have different territories, and there's different, this is on page 45, there's different data that we have access to. We don't have the luxury of an MLS and easy trackable data across the whole market. So this is going to come from your core group, your database, your network of influencers and knowledgeable people about what's going on in the marketplace. But I want you to think creatively here. And if you're trying to analyze what's going on in the market, how many agents are in the city, what the population is, what the market trends are, you don't need to define all that right now in this exercise, but write down a couple of categories where you could go do some research later to help you get a picture of what's going on in the current market, so that you know who you're competing against and where they're at when you launch your market center. So what I'm asking you to do is to take out a piece of paper for the next 3 minutes and jot down some categories and maybe even some knowledge, if you have it, of what's going on in your marketplace right now. Some good questions to ask yourself as examples. Who are the top 5 competitors in this city that I'm going to open my first market center in? How do I know they're the top 5? What evidence do I have that that is true? How many agents are in this marketplace? How many, or what's the average sales price? What's the trend of the commission that's being paid out? These are all questions you already know and think about in your day-to-day business. Take the time to just write down a few thoughts about them on the paper in front of you. We're going to take 3 minutes to do that. You can use, starting on page 45, some of these as just ideas for thinking through it. And then when we come back, we'll take some ahas. Sound good? Any questions on what we're about to do? All right, you guys get started. Let's take 3 quick minutes. It's always an unceremonious stop there. Okay, guys, we're back. So let's hear from you guys. What are some categories, some thoughts that have come up that might be worth exploring as you go back in your markets and try to benchmark? Who would like to share? Not that you have the answers yet, just some areas that you're going to go investigate, especially since we don't have MLSs in our local markets. And you're also
I think Ahmed raised his hand.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Did you say Edwin?
No, it's Ahmed, but I think he's just having an audio issue real quick.
And if you like, Ahmed, if you have trouble with the microphone, you're welcome to put it in the chat tool as well. Egypt, as an example, I think Ahmed's from is looking into bringing Kelwims in Egypt. That is a really interesting market as an example. We know there agents are very used to being paid salaries, and that's while they aren't legally required, to my knowledge, that is a cultural shift that would have to be dealt with at the market center level.
Yeah, if I can say something, JP.
Go ahead, Claudia.
That's one of the things that is happening here in Chile. And so I wrote down one of the things that I would like to do is find out exactly.
You hear me now? Hello?
We do, Ahmed. 1 second. I'm going to let Claudia finish. And we're going to come back to you, but that's perfect. You sound great. Go ahead, Claudia.
Okay. So there are some companies here in Chile that are paying their agents. So what I would like to do is find out not only how much they're paying, which I kind of have an idea already, but what they are offering to those agents as far as like trainings and services, you know, and what commissions do they pay if they get any. So there are a lot of those companies like emerging right now. And so that's my job. I wrote it down as my mission right now to find out like what companies those are, how much they're paying their agents, and what they're offering as, you know, incentive to stay with them.
Exactly. Now that after you do that, Claudia, the next thing to do, and Gary did this literally in the United States because we have those similar models here, especially decades ago. The key is to teach first the top salespeople how much money they're leaving on the table by accepting that payment instead of building a business. When you can run using their production numbers, what they would keep and earn at Keller Williams in a heavily weighted agent compensation package, you can get them to wake up and see that they're leaving a lot of money on the table because typically payouts to agents as salaried employees or whatever the structure might be is not equal to people based on their production. It's kind of a flat rate, and your top people are putting more money into the market center or the agency that's going out to lower level producers who don't produce as much as them. And salespeople hate that. So if you can get them to see that they're leaving a lot of money that really belongs to them, that usually gets them to open up to the idea of coming in and being on a commission only structure, at least in our experience. Great idea.
Absolutely. Thanks, JP.
Ahmed, go ahead. You got to unmute yourself again.
Yeah, you hear me now?
Sure do.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And how are you all guys? First of all, I'd like to share my experience with you because I have been in this industry like 20 years ago. And I was a vice president of Coldwell Banker in the Middle East. And after like 12 years joining Coldwell Banker, I started my own company. And regarding to this, because I have been in this and I had done a lot of researches regarding to this, you know, the market here in Egypt is completely different from the United States because all of agents here are working on salary based, not on commission based. And this is memorizing me when we started in Coldwell Banker like 2000. There was no any brokerage company in Egypt, and it was a new to the industry. So the main purpose of Coldwell Banker is educating the clients and agents and all the associates about how the benefit they will get from the broker or from the consultant, real estate consultant. And after that, the market is very growing. There is a lot of development in Egypt. So the first of all, regarding to the research, our opportunity and the 7 market research components, first of all, the territories you are looking for, which is very, very important. Here in Egypt, you know, it's a development country, and the government now is focusing on each pool sides of the city, because you know now the capital Cairo is very, very crowded. There is no more opportunities here, and the government is looking to expand the development in the each pools of the city and on the coastal cities. There is a lot of development there. And the market, I'd like to tell you, like 7 years ago, it was based on the secondary market. And if someone is looking for ready to move properties, is looking to buy a home or a house or an apartment, and he has the cash to buy this apartment. Market is completely different now. It's focusing on the off-plan or primary sale. That there is a development in a certain place, and there is a project or a compound. This compound contains about like townhouses, twin houses, standalone villas, and apartments. And the clients will deliver it after certain years, like 4 years or 5 years, and they pay in installments. This actually encourage the market, and as well the clients, they cannot afford to buy a property. They don't have the cash right now, but they can pay by installment, like a mortgage or something like that. You call it here, there in the United States, but the mortgage, the company is doing it by themselves. They give facilities to the clients like 10 years payment plan, and they just pay 5% from the total amount of the property, and they pay the rest in equal installment for 10 years. This encouraging the market and encouraging even the buyers to have the interest to buy a property, even if they don't have the full amount of the payment, but they can ensure that they are working for companies or something like that, so they cut from their salaries to buy the property. So now the competition is very, very high in Egypt, even from the developer themselves, because we do have a lot of developers.
They're getting into
and
the
even developers coming from abroad. Yeah, not even from Cairo or from Egypt, but there is a developers coming from the Middle East or from Europe, because we have a very, very, very interesting market.
Absolutely.
So after that, there is a lot of real estate brokerage company in the market, and the competition is very, very high.
Absolutely.
For me, that the now is the trend of the market is the off plan, even in the commercial or in residential, because there is a lot of clients now, they wanted to invest in commercial like office spaces or retails. There is a lot of multinational and international brands interesting to come in Egypt, and they launch and open their retails in Egypt.
Hey, Ahmed, let me pause you there, Ahmed, just because we're going to run out of time, and I'm getting a little bit of feedback. So I want to recap a couple of things that I think you're pointing out, if you don't mind, for our audience.
Yeah, sure.
Here. Your knowledge of the marketplace right there is the example we're talking about. As a market center owner, you need to know what's going on in your marketplace. You need to know what the government's doing. You need to know what the population is doing. You need to be a student of your marketplace. And I think you're showing that very clearly, especially in Cairo and the other areas that are developing. As a regional owner, for those that are on the call looking at bringing a region forward, you don't have to be an expert on every market, but you need to find people like Ahmed, who's looking at a region, but also understands the market center level. You need to understand whether or not that OP has the type of knowledge like Ahmed is talking about. This is critical that the OP show up as a partner, because you're at a regional level. You can't know every market, but you can validate and investigate whether the OP knows it. And these are the kind of questions that OP needs to be passionate about and thinking about. Even further, and I'll make this last point, and then I know we're running short on time, we have to move forward, but your ALC, your top producing agents in this ALC concept can be, they're the people with boots on the ground that know what's going on. And through them, you can identify what's going on in the market. Also, what opportunities they're not getting in the current way they're being treated by brokerages, whether that's being treated as an employee. What are the good things about that? What are the challenges about that? And through questions, through listening and training in a classroom environment and meeting with top people in an ALC environment, you can actually identify the pathway forward to change your industry. Not the consumers, not the developers, not what's going on with the government, but what's going on with the agents and how they can make the most out of that opportunity. But it all starts with that knowledge of the market and then listening to what agents are dealing with. Ahmed, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I have to move on, but that's the kind of language that I want all of us to be thinking about as you go through this. So thank you guys for taking the time to do that exercise. Really, really appreciate it. Let's look at the organizational model real fast. You saw this in Jen talking about the OP and the MCA and everyone working as a team. This is what we want you to have in your mind's eye as you think about this. The OP represents the investors and brings vision, accountability, value, and raises the capital to launch this business. They represent the interests of the owners. They hire a team leader. So there is a boss and employee relationship, but culturally, you want that to feel like a partnership where the team leader is getting coaching, support, and accountability from the OP. Team leaders wakes up every day thinking about growing the office, making sure training is being implemented, consulting with the top agents typically, and delivering value in other ways. And that's usually done through the rest of the people on this chart. Your MCA is an employee that reports to the team leader. This is your market center administrator. They deliver value. They focus on communication with all agents, making sure there's scalable communication going out about the value that the market center delivers. They are focusing on growth, especially financially, and managing the finances and making sure agents are getting paid on time. The PC, or productivity coach, is one of the newer roles that evolved out of our most successful market centers, where you had that agent mix that we talked about. Top producing agents, middle producing agents, and rookies and new people. Well, the rookies and new people can be quite a large group because you're going to be attractive to people who want to get into the business, because you're probably going to be delivering more training than any other company out there. Well, to manage that and be leverage for your team leader to focus on talking to and consulting the top people, A productivity coach can be a self-funded position that's incentivized through splitting money with the commission of the agent to coach and hold those new agents accountable to closing their first transactions. This is a very common model. We don't have time to go into it in detail here, but as you go through our process, this will be something that you can learn about implementing for the right person to come in and create group coaching and one-on-one coaching inside your market center to help newer and lower producing agents become cappers inside the market center. And cappers are simply agents who consistently hit the cap every year. They also focus on growth because that's natural recruiting for newer agents into the market center, which helps profitability all the way back up to the owner. And everybody's on the same page growing the market center, but in a leveraged way, where the team leader is not spending all of their time with rookies. They have somebody who has a benefit to do that, and that's leverage for the team leader to get more of their own time back to focus on top producers. And right in the center is the heart of our organizational structure, and that is the Agent Leadership Council. The Agent Leadership Council is made up of hand-selected top agents who are within the top 20% of producers in the market center. They're selected every year, and they get to serve from January to December, and then you can select a new group the following year. It doesn't have to be a lot of people, but in an office of 20 or 30 people, it might be 3 or 4, maybe 5. And they represent all the other agents and the decision-making that goes on within the market center. They also are a great way for the team leader and the OP to stay in relationship with top agents. This is your secret sauce to building relationships with your top producers so they never leave you. Because if you're recruiting, the best way to grow and attract agents into your market center is to have the very best people stay in relationship with you and refer business to the team leader. So this dynamic triangle here actually puts everyone on the same side of the table as business partners, because the OP wants profitability of the office. The team leader wants profitability for the OP because that's how the team leader gets bonused, just like you saw Jennifer talk about. The team leader wants to recruit because that leads to profitability, which helps the OP and helps them get their bonus. How's the team leader going to do that? Well, they'll have a much easier time doing that if they walk into an ALC meeting and say, you're our top producers, you're the most influential agents in our market center. Who do you know that you could introduce me to that I could recruit into the market center to help you build your passive income through growth share? So now the team leader is building advocates and support who want the team leader to recruit and grow profitability because it means their income grows as well. And the MCA and the PC also have leadership roles in supporting this, like we just described. So that's critical to understand, because you can't run a disruptive economic model or set these foundational pieces in place unless you're clear on you need a team to implement it. Well, what team sits above that? What team runs and owns this business? Well, it all starts with the core group and the investors. The OP represents the vision of the market center. They define what the profit's going to be, how much market share they want to capture, and how they're going to dominate through agents, units, and volume. The OP has to have a vision for this. Otherwise, no one knows what direction the company's headed in. The market center OP usually should have an investor group. We'd recommend not having more than 5 people in the ownership group. Otherwise, the profits are split too much and you have too many opinions that you're trying to make happy. The OP should be the leader though. They should represent the voice of the investors and be the decision maker, the sole decision maker. The OP does need to invite investors in who have a shared vision, that are in alignment, because there can only be one vision for the market center. You can't have 3 or 4 people on a committee trying to make decisions quickly in the real estate industry. This moves quickly, markets shift dramatically, as you all know, and an OP needs to be able to make decisions without having to consult a board of directors. Now, you can operate like that, and your OP can involve the investors in a lot of the decisions, but if there's ever a disagreement, your agreements with that OP put the OP in charge, and they need to control 51% of the operating decisions in the market center, meaning their vote outweighs everyone else's. You want that as a region because you need to know there's one vision and one decision maker in your market centers. Sometimes OP equity distribution will look like this. It doesn't always look like this, but good, talented OPs typically want a majority of the equity because they're doing the majority of the work. You can allow your OPs of market centers to negotiate this out with their own investor group It's their business, independently owned and operated. But you don't want your investors who are actively involved in this market center to be too small. You get into below 10%, and the stake in that market center success becomes hard to define and a little too low for that person to want to do any activity to help. So there's no hard and fast rule, but your OP should define this and have a clear vision of why that investor is getting the equity that they're getting. In Ahmed's case, his challenge is going to be developers who want to own the market centers where he might open. Well, the challenge of that is, are all of your deals going to funnel through this market center? Are you going to actively bring us talent and bring us other agents and grow this? Or is this just another passive investment now that you've been successful as a developer? You have to struggle through those conversations because this is a different business. And if you're going to be successful, they have to look at it differently than they've looked at it before. Agents drive this business. Having lots of agents is how this market center makes money. Having 20 agents and doing special deals for a developer is not going to make a profitable market center. So where do we put these market centers? Again, when we're working with OP candidates who are going to own a market center, it's really critical that they show up with this knowledge. They need to understand where they think the best market center should, or where the best location for the market center is, because they should know their competitors. Again, the simple formula is, who are the top 5 competitors in the marketplace in this area? A, B, C, D, and E. Well, put that market center centered in between those offices so that any one of the top 3 producing agents in each of those 5 offices could realistically join you, and you've got the formula for a disruptive model. All you have to do as the market center is show up with a better competitive compensation model, great training, and a team leader who's willing to call on those top agents to say, how is your business going? Where are you headed? What are your goals? My job is to consult all the top producers in this marketplace because you have great knowledge and we want to help you grow your business, whether you join Keller Williams or not. And eventually through that value and that relationship, you're going to see top producers leave those top 5 offices and make the market center the #1 office in the marketplace. That's the simple way to look at it. Ishmael has a great question. He says, what does a clear vision look like? And I think that's a really powerful way to ask that question because it's easy to get lost in all the things we could do. And I would say a clear vision looks exactly like this slide we just covered, Ishmael. Your OPs of your market centers need to know, what goal do I have in each of these categories? If I can clearly answer the question of, this is how much profit I want to make, this is how much market share I want to have, however you can define that without an MLS, you should try to challenge your OPs to define what that market share is. How many agents do I want in this market center? How many closed units will they have done every year? And how much sales volume will that equate to? If an OP can define that and say, this is what our market center goal is, then you have a clear vision. If they can't, then they're not able to provide vision or clarity to those in the market center about where the market center is headed. In real estate, those are the numbers. Terry has a great question. What do you do when your competitors are doing the exact model as you? They're changing their system to now compete with you. You and your team leader go fast. And you understand that you can't just compete on price. If people are competing with you on the compensation to the agent, you have to look at what value do I deliver beyond that? And I would look at training, education, and also talk to your top agents that are already with you and say, what's the value that keeps you here, that you've gotten the most value from, that we could do more of? And I would spend more time as a team leader consulting with top producers and using that as an opportunity not to sell Keller Williams and why you're better, which is the natural response when competitors try to go after us. Ignore what your competitors are doing and ask the top agents that are with them, by getting into relationship with them like we talked about with Edwin, and not talk about Keller Williams. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them what they like about their broker. Ask them how their business is this year during COVID. Get into a real, authentic relationship with them and find out what those top producers have going on in their business. And through that conversation, you will learn about where your competitors are really showing up to compete with you and where they're missing the boat. And then you can fill that gap for those top producers. It's usually something around training, helping them hire staff or admin help, close more business, market themselves more effectively, learn how to touch and grow a database systematically. Sometimes it's just, I need somebody to hold me accountable. I keep saying I'm going to do my database and I don't. Well, if your team leader shows up to be that person, even in a small way, that could be the thing that moves the needle the most. So I don't have an exact answer, but you've got to listen to the top agents in the marketplace and figure out where your competitors are succeeding and where they're failing. That just takes asking great questions about how the agent's business is doing. And start with the top. Don't do that with rookies or new people. You don't need to learn about their businesses. There's nothing to learn there yet. You need to start with the top salespeople, because if you understand their business, you'll understand everyone else's. It's the exact same model Gary has used to keep a business growing to 160,000 people by only talking to the top 1% in his company. Okay, do's and don'ts for disrupting your market. When you do launch there, don't focus on recruiting from one competitor. Focus on the top 1, 2, or 3 agents from all competitors. Do encourage agents to leverage business relationships at their previous brokerage. They should be calling their friends and colleagues, but don't take too long. Don't wait forever. Don't wait for time to pass. The best time to get referrals from your recruits is right when they're joining. So the second they sign the paperwork to say, I'm joining this market center, you should absolutely be going, okay, who else do you know so I can help get your growth share tree started by referring them in. They're going to be more likely to refer you people when they're excited about joining as well. Do require each potential investor to commit to influencing at least 5 additional cappers. This means if I have ownership in your market center, no matter where I live in the world, but especially if I'm in that marketplace, well, heck, especially if I'm not in your country, I better be accountable to referring you people. Otherwise, why do I get this precious equity that you've given me? Building your core group is all about this influence. So you want to have prospective investors physically join Keller Williams. That would be ideal. If they could come in and experience the company, you'll typically award your best market centers from within your own organization. That's been our experience. Investors should commit to bringing 5 additional cappers, and the investor earns the right to write the check. That means they show up consistently through this process and they've earned the right for the equity. When somebody shows up with just money, it's been our experience that those relationships end poorly because they expect a passive return, and you as the OP of the market center expect some sort of support, and you're not in the same relationship. They wanted something different than what you offered, and so did you. The key here is look how big a market center could be if you had the right core group from the beginning who all understood, I just have to go get 5 people. And if the other 4 of you get 5 people, we've just launched an office with 25 potential cappers. Right off the bat, I could be profitable on day 1 if I just picked the right 4 people to be part of my ownership group, and they all went and got 5 agents that produced. It's that simple. If you just do that work at the beginning, it'll be less expensive, exhausting, and painful than trying to do it after you launch your office. Okay, building your leadership team, like Jen spoke about, is a whole course on this called career visioning. You want to follow these guidelines, the policies and procedures guidelines, to build this leadership team out. It's critical that after you have an ownership group, that you build the proper leadership group within that. The OP, like we said, brings vision, capital, and accountability. They're the boss, but they're a boss that likes to stand in the background and let other people shine. Specifically, the team leader. Team leader is recruiting every day, implementing training. In the beginning, the team leader will train a lot. But over time, through the ALC, the MCA, and the productivity coach, and sometimes the OP, other people are implementing that training as well. Jen was an agent from 2013 until about a year and a half ago, and she trained all the time. Nobody paid her to do it. She did it because top salespeople love being in the spotlight. They build their businesses that way. They master their knowledge and their craft that way. And so the team leader is not the only person training, but they should set the tone and the pace for training being done in the market center. And of course, they consult the very top agents in the market center as well. The MCA runs a growth initiative system, retention, financial, and support systems like we talked about. And then the ALC is the heartbeat. They're involved and invested in the decisions that impact the agents. Again, we pick the top producers above the 20% mark in top producers of the market center because you have to serve the top producers. They have to earn the right to be on the ALC. It should be an honor and not an obligation. Building your staff, your market center will have a team leader, MCA, and the associates don't report to the team leader. They're simply associates in the market center that are supported by the team leader and the MCA. Many market centers will have a call coordinator who's managing leads coming in, or a director of first impressions that opens the office and turns on the lights, manages the mail, things like that. The director of first impressions can be the voice of the market center. This isn't just somebody who sits at the desk. This is the first impression for anyone coming into the market center, especially your agents. They should see themselves as working for the agents. They're there to help their clients have a great first experience when they come in to meet with those clients in the market center. Some self-funded positions we've talked about: the productivity coach, technology support, agent services, and a closing coordinator. This can look wildly different across market centers. And if you grow and build a strong market center with lots of agents, you'll have the opportunity to build out these self-funded positions bigger than you probably imagine. The productivity coach is one. When you have enough new and lower producing agents coming into the market center, you will have the opportunity for a productivity coach to possibly take a small percent, maybe 5 or 10% of the agent side of the commission, in order to fund a coaching program that could scale and be a nice side business for an agent in the market center, or somebody who becomes a full-time coach just in the market center. Technology support can be a standard salaried employee, or you could have somebody who's paid to support and give hands-on support to the agents. The agents could cover that because, again, you're giving more money back to the agent. The agent services coordinator and closing coordinator can also be somebody who's compensated based on fees that the agent pays in the market center for leveraging those services. Not every agent will, but if an agent wants to have somebody that the market center provides in order to help them close or do paperwork, or maybe provide services that are available in the market center, agents can pay for those things on a per usage basis if you choose. These are all deeper dive opportunities that come as you set up your market center with a strong team leader, MCA, and ALC, and you can add these as you grow. They do not have to be started at the beginning. I'd like for you guys to turn to the economic fundamental pages. I think that should be on around page 77. Pages shifted a little bit since we revised our manual, but this is a critical page to bookmark. This is the one you want to spend some real time understanding, because these 25 economic fundamentals are still run today, and they're the foundation of how you actually get profitable in the region, but especially market centers. The first one is the one I want you to take note of the most, and that is, in everything you do, you need to lead with revenue. You've got to lead with money that's actually coming in, not money you're betting on coming in. And we don't spend money until we have evidence that the money we have spent is returning an investment, meaning it's getting a multiple of that dollar spent coming back to us. We don't carry debt in our company. We keep our overhead very low, and we use high volume, low margin strategies. That means we're running on the idea of growth, not succeeding off just a few top producing agents. That creates a very unstable market center. The idea is to get really big and really profitable through a high volume of agents, through your competitive split cap. That means you have to grow. If you're going to cap the income that comes into the market center, you have to be growing in order to make this profitable. So as you'll see throughout the rest of these fundamentals on page 77 and 78, you actually do need to charge rent for offices and desks that are private and exclusive to those users. We don't make those a profit center, but we do need to recover some of the expenses we've taken on behalf of our agents, because we're running a split cap model. And this is why it's so important to be transparent when you work with your ALC and your agents about the way you're running your business, because they should be doing the same. They should be keeping their expenses low, managing every dollar they have, and watching it in whether it's building their business or just an expense that did not return any value or benefit. Okay, so let me pause here for just a second. Any questions on this or these economic fundamentals as you look through them? This is all content we want you to be looking at after this class. So take some time and glance through this. If there is any questions right now, I'd be happy to slow down and answer any of them at this point.
Yeah, I got a small question, JP.
Go ahead, Edwin.
Getting back to the ALC, what if you have 3 top agents? Who chooses the MLC? The agents, or you do it yourself?
The OP and the team leader every year, starting about October, should pick, hand select the top producers that get to serve on the ALC. Now, I'll tell you, if you want to be a little creative, be creative on the standard of production or how much they're producing, and don't be creative on culture and their level of engagement, their leadership skills. As I forget who, I'm gonna mess the quote up, but one of our leaders talks about they would rather have 3 highly engaged, in culture, passionate agents about being a part of the ALC than 15 disengaged top producers. This is not a committee. It's not for them to come around and tell the OP all the things they don't like and what you need to do for them. It's a leadership opportunity to have special time, private, with the team leader, the OP, maybe even guest speakers, to mastermind about building that agent's business. Those agents should be spending most of their time with the team leader talking about what's going on in the market, how they can grow their sales business, and that should be a value opportunity to pour into the top agents. That's the purpose of the ALC. The benefit of doing that is you retain your top producers and you get them to buy into being passionate about the growth of the office. Some top agents that are in that might also be owners in the market center. Most will not be, but you get their engagement by picking people properly. And you as the OP and your team leader should do that together. And if you get it wrong, people can go off the ALC and come back on, but it's always meant to be an honor and valuable to the agent. The metric on whether your ALC is performing at a high level is whether that ALC member's GCI went up by the end of the year. If it didn't, we had no impact on their GCI going up, then we failed as an ALC and as a team leader of serving that ALC. So we have a whole class on this called ALC Clinic, both for the team leader and those who should be participating in the ALC, the agent. But you pick and you hand select, and you need to pick people that are really passionate, that you think are future leaders, because you'd be surprised. These people end up taking on future roles and maybe even owning future market centers. Great question. Long, I think you raised your hand as well.
Yes. Why the top producer want to join the ALC, and what kind of decision that the ALC can participate in or vote?
Say the last part. You said, why would a top agent join the ALC? And then what was the second part?
And what kind of the decision that an ALC can vote or participate in?
So what kind of decisions can the ALC vote on? As Gary said, he literally went very, very far on this, and you can choose, because these are independently owned and operated businesses, but he turned over the decision-making in a lot of ways to the ALC and in tandem with the managers. That doesn't mean the ALC gets to decide. It means they have a partnership level conversation with the team leader and sometimes the OP. But let's answer the first question first. Why would an agent join? And this is exactly what we were just saying with Edwin. The agent joining the ALC should be getting special consulting time and support and coaching from the team leader and the OP. This is why you want to pick an OP who's actually influential and that top agents would like to be in business with. If your OP is somebody the top agents don't know or don't care about, you're going to struggle with that. You're going to have to supplement that because the team leader is so amazing, or you're going to have to bring in guest speakers, or you're going to have to do a book club. But this ALC should grow the agents' businesses that are on it. They should want to join because ALC members that were early adopters come out of the ALC going, it's awesome. I get to spend time with the team leader. I get my questions answered. We mastermind together. We solve problems together. We know what's going on in the marketplace. And I'm learning about building wealth and building a business by watching what the market center OP and team leader are doing in this market center we're all part of. It's like being in a business class without having to pay university to go to business school. That's what a high-performing, high-functioning ALC should be. Even further, if people that join the ALC are passionate about certain topics, that becomes a platform for them because there's going to be committees, a culture committee, and a committee on the finances, and a committee on the training calendar. These ALC members can contribute to that if they're passionate about it. So it gives people a voice and an opportunity to learn leadership as part of the ALC as well. What decisions they get to make, that's up to the OP. That's the easy way to answer it. If the OP of the market center wants to let them vote on the split on the cap, and whether the cap should be raised or lowered, they can do that. I think that's a really good thing to involve your ALC on if you're going to lower or raise your cap. I guarantee you need to involve them if you're going to raise the cap and you want to retain any of your agents, because you're going to need the top agents to explain why the market center is raising the cap and costing you more money as an agent. That's going to take leadership from the ALC to communicate that so your agents don't leave. But those are the kind of things you can involve them in. And the more you can do that, the more comfortable you can get with that, is all based on your comfort level with the ALC and the leadership that they've shown up with. We don't just turn over decisions to agents. We start with the top producers, and then we work with them in a very partnership way. So they're not in charge, and we're not necessarily the only one in charge, but it's still your business, and the OP gets to decide. Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, great questions. Great questions. Okay, we're going to pause here for a second, take a little bit of a breather. We're going into chapter 3. And I know I'm talking a lot at you guys. This is kind of the downside of a course being crammed into 2 4-hour sessions, but we want to spend the rest of our time going through, now that we kind of have an understanding of the basic foundation of a market center, how do we actually grow that market center? How do we do recruiting? If we don't get through this whole chapter, we'll save some time in the morning tomorrow to wrap it up. Because chapters 4, 5, and 6 are a little bit lighter than chapters 2 and 3. One of the things we're going to do tomorrow morning as well, to give you a little bit of preview, is hear from an OP and a team leader outside the United States and Canada that April has set up for us to kick off our day tomorrow. So please come back and engage in that conversation. I think a lot of this will come together as you start to hear how it's been put into practice, like we heard from Jen earlier. Ammon, are you on the call?
Yep.
Ammon teaches this a lot and has for some time in Worldwide, and I'm asking him to chime in with me along with April and Lisette, because he and I are probably a little overly passionate about this. We love this part of the model because it creates a pathway for people who are struggling, and that is, if all else fails, grow. Just go. Call agents and start talking to them about value and their business and attract them into your thing. As our leaders like to say in Keller Williams, there's no problem in your market center that can't be solved by recruiting a top agent into your market center. It just simply solves all problems. You don't have enough trainers, go recruit more people. You don't have a great ALC, go recruit a top producer and then put them on your ALC. You don't have enough profit, go recruit more productive agents. You have a bad team leader, go recruit more people and find a team leader within the group of talent that you bring into your market center. Your agents are leaving you because they don't think it's an exciting place to work. Recruit people, and the people that are with you get re-recruited and they stay. Everything solved with growth. And this model, it's an extremely powerful model if your team leaders get that at a high level. And this doesn't mean you're going to go become the only office that exists in the marketplace and everyone's going to join you and you're putting all the other brokerages out of business. That doesn't happen. It's not going to happen, and it's not our goal. But what it does mean is you're accepting and acknowledging that real estate salespeople get into this industry and they get out of this industry as a normal part of life. There's no changing it. You're never going to stop it. We certainly haven't stopped it in the United States. People get their license, pay thousands of dollars, and then in 3 months, because they haven't closed a deal with their mom, dad, or family, they get out of the business and they go get a job. That is always going to happen in every market. Your goal is not to stop that. Your goal is to stay stable and strong as a healthy, big business and continue to grow over time. This means you're always recruiting, because agents are naturally going to get out of the business and leave your office. That's what it means to have an office that's 4 or 5 times bigger than your competitors. Your office is going to look and feel like the entire marketplace, not just one business inside the marketplace. So it's important as we go into this chapter to understand growth isn't just get big to get big. It's get big to have a stable, profitable market center that doesn't go up and down as much as we know current businesses do with the seasonality of these markets. If you have top producers and a good agent mix and your team leader keeps growing, you won't suffer when one top producer leaves or a couple of rookies leave, because you're always growing and your 50-person office stays 50 or maybe gets to 75 one day. Or heck, in some big cities around the world, maybe 200 agents per office. Our leaders in France and Portugal, Mexico, they're doing this. They're changing the story of what's possible in their country, because no brokerage ever got as big as they're getting. And it's real, and it's happening now. So decide for yourself why growth matters, and understand as we go through this chapter how to apply it so that these models get implemented at the highest level, because this is all too much if you're running an office with 5 agents. You've got to get bigger. You've got to create leaders. And that's what we're going to talk about in chapter 3. So Ammon, you and I have done this enough. I want you to go through this with me a little bit. And April and Lisette, please continue to chime in. There's so much knowledge on this team. We want you to get to know some of the people on this team as well, because we're going to be with you as you launch these offices and your region. The first thing we're going to do here, go ahead, Ammon.
Before we launch into growth, there's one page, and it's in the growth section, but if you don't mind, I want to start with this first, and I have a couple of things I want to say about it. It's on the in the participant manual. It's page 89 of the PDF. On the PDF itself, it says page 111. I can bring that up on my screen, or if you find it, JP.
I'll bring it right here.
So this one page for me is probably the most important page as far as bringing everything JP just talked about together. What do I mean by that? This one page says, number one, your OP. So if you have a question, how can I open a profitable market center? What kind of OP candidate should I be looking for? How do I put together a core group? All of that is answered, is summarized right here in this one page. Think about this just for a second. If you were to put together a core group and your OP can attract 5 cappers, and your OP can also bring in investors, and each of those investors has influence in the local marketplace, which is what JP has said over and over again on this call, and they each can bring in 5 cappers, then you will start a market center with 30 cappers. You will start a market center with 30 cappers. And in this example, let's suppose your cap is set at $20,000. That means your company currency right off the bat for the first year is going to be $600,000. If you want the formula for a perfect market center launch and how to attract an OP, what kind of core group you want, it's this page right here. So if you come to us and you say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about this OP, I just don't know if they're going to be the right fit, you ask yourself one question. Can this OP attract 5 cappers? Okay, great. If they say, hey, they put together a wonderful core group, they've got bankers, they've got title, they've got all these people who are going to put in money. That's nice. But ask yourself one question. Will this core group bring cappers? If the answer is no, then you probably want to put a pause on that deal and get investors with local influence. This one page is the absolute powerhouse of the perfect OP and the perfect core group and the perfect market center. And it's not crazy difficult. If someone comes to you and says, I want to own a market center, great, that is wonderful. Do you have local influence? And I'm going to test that. Another way of asking that is, great, can you bring 5 cappers with you? If you can't, maybe you're a mega agent in that market center. Maybe you're a team leader in that market center, but I need an influencer. I need an influencer to open up this market center. Do you have 5 cappers? If yes, green light, move forward, and then look at the core group. This really is the simplest way to get a very profitable market center within 90 days if you do this. But people want to deviate all the time, and they want to say, hey, but I have my best friend and he's in banking and he's got a lot of money and he wants to put a lot of money in. That's neat. But if you launch this market center with 1 capper, you're setting yourself up for a long struggle. Just do this. Print this page out, put it up in front of you. This is the core of how to evaluate the best OP, how to evaluate the core group, and how to launch a market center right.
Yeah. The downside of this one page is that it's hard to find people sometimes, and it's easy to negotiate against ourselves. So the key is start with the people that are known and successful and figure out what it is they want. Just like we recruit an agent, we can recruit an OP candidate who wants a better life, who wants to build a big business. And if we learn about them and then explain how this model might get them there, then the next question is, can you bring 5 cappers with you? That way, when we go back to that page of the market center in the middle of the 5 top competitors, there's a team that all they have to do is pick up their phone and go, oh, let me call a couple of people I've done some deals with that I really thought were great. And I'll give them to this team leader that you've hired. And now the 5 of us are attracting cappers into the market center. Before we've even signed the SLA or maybe opened the doors, we've got 25, 30 people, right? It sounds easier than it is, but it's so much easier if you just follow this page. I love that you started with this, Eamon. Thank you for bringing that up. So let's kind of dive in here a little bit and talk about how we get to there. You got to learn to grow your agent count through other people. You got to learn the tools and systems of the Profit Playbook. We run a whole system we teach at Regional Leadership Week on the Profit Playbook. Your regions are accountable to delivering that playbook to you and helping you actually grow. Remember, your region isn't responsible for feeding you the agents you need to have. The market center is, but they should be giving you the tools so that you can go grow the way you need to. That's the relationship between market centers and agents. Here are 10 Keller Williams recruiting sources we believe are valid, strong, and should be part of your toolkit that you go to. There are others you're going to add to this. There's some that you'll change and some that may not apply in your market. Number one, the best way to grow is through your own people. You get one market center OP, he or she brings 5 people. They each bring 5 people. Boom, you've got 30. Now your growth should be primarily through those 30 people, and it builds and builds and builds. There have never been TV commercials, Super Bowl or football advertisements, or any kind of radio advertising to build Keller Williams. It was conversation by conversation growing through our people. Networking allied resources. A huge aha I had this year was one of our top team leaders saying that she recruits through her vendors. The inspectors, appraisers, notaries, lawyers, finance, bankers, all those people want to invest in a market center. Well, you know what's an easier and less risky way to help Keller Williams grow and earn money? Refer us people. For us people, become an associate in our market center or in our region and refer talented agents who cap and earn growth share and never have to pay us any money at all. It's a completely risk-free way to build wealth. Educational events. This is where your training calendar and other events you'll hold at the market center and the regional level are huge recruiting opportunities. There's no day a team leader should be calling any top agent and not have something wonderful to invite that agent to come to as a guest to see the type of training and value that's being delivered in the market center. Career opportunity events. This would be a perfect example for a productivity coach to hold a career opportunity night or event for people who are thinking about real estate to come into the market center or into a virtual class and talk about what it means to be a real estate agent. That's a great way to attract new agents into your market centers. Real estate schools is something that team leaders go to here in the United States to attract rookie agents, or I should say really productivity coaches go. If you don't have those, you can explore being a de facto real estate school. Just understand that that's not your primary focus for recruiting. It's just a great way to get agents in who are new to the business, but your team leaders and your OPs should be focusing on top producers. Recruiting advertisements are something you can absolutely do. There are KW publications you'll have access to, like our Outfront magazine and social media resources that have already been created. You can deliver them locally as they are, or you'll have the ability to edit and translate those as needed. Social networking, of course, we have a lot of tools that help you with that. And direct mail and email are obviously tools for recruiting. Setting up campaigns to agents, not consumers, is a great way to tell the story of what Keller Williams is doing in your local market for agents. And then, of course, having a targeted database. When we say we think and act like a top producer, this is one of the areas where we literally do that. Your team leader should be lead generating in the market center the exact same way we're asking agents to lead generate for their business. The difference is the team leader is lead generating for top producing agents to recruit them into the market center. Meanwhile, your agents in the same office are calling their database and doing their marketing and prospecting to attract consumers into their business for listing and sales. So we're role modeling using a database and building our business out of a database, just like we teach agents to do in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
And JP, could I jump in on that? I have 2 thoughts. If you can go back, this slide here, this for me, you should print out and give to your team leader. Two main takeaways on this. Number one, the hardest thing for a team leader is figuring out how to generate so many appointments. It's right here. This is how you generate all of your appointments. Generating 20, generating 40 a month is very difficult. So as an OP, as a coach, you're going to sit down with your team leader and walk through each of these things, seeing if the team leader is maximizing their opportunity in each one of these areas. That's the first thing. This is going to get you huge lead generation. The second point is, this is just lead generation. These in themselves are not recruiting appointments. Do not deceive yourself and go to an educational event and hand out 100 cards, your business cards, and think that you've recruited 100 people or think that you've had 100 recruiting appointments. You haven't had any. Better go to those recruiting events and gather all of those business cards and then follow up with all of them. Keller Williams is not built on the mindset of host an event and everyone's going to come to you. No, you need to get out there, grab their business cards, grab their information. That's going to set your team leader up for the next 2 to 4 weeks of calling people to set up recruiting appointments. This is an absolute person-to-person business. It's a relationship business. It's not just a card collecting business. You have to call those people, set up an appointment, get into their business and make their business better. That's how you recruit them in. But it's all in this slide.
Yeah.
Both the lead generation sourcing is all here, but then the follow-up. It's all about the follow-up, getting in front of that agent and bettering their business.
And we'll have more on this tomorrow in chapter 4 about training, education, marketing, technology, and all the tools that we give people to be productive. Well, you're going to hear tomorrow how we have an entire course curriculum on how a team leader does that. So it's not just 10 items here. It's now that you know the 10, how do you dive deep into that and actually do it effectively? Team leader fundamentals and the market center leadership training that Keller Williams University has is literally what you hand your team leader when you give them this printout like Ammon's suggesting. Your team leaders need to go engage in that training so they know how to do the job, not just succeed on their own personality, right? It's absolutely there for them. And we expect market center leadership to be held accountable to going to that training to actually know how to implement on these 10 items, right? So we'll hear more about that tomorrow, but to Ammon's point, this is about going out and meeting with people. You saw Jen, she mentioned she worked for IBM for 13 years and she worked at home. Unfortunately, ironically, we're all working from home again. But in those 13 years, or at least in the few years of it that I saw when we were married, she never got to go out and get in front of people. And you should see she was a totally different person, because I could see in that moment, she really wanted to be in front of other people. And it was a little hard to not be around other humans face to face. Your team leaders have to want that. Your agents naturally want that. So when she became an agent and now a team leader, she's thriving. She's happier than she's ever been because every day she's doing what Ammon says. She's actually following up and reaching out to people and having consultative conversations, not just passively marketing. And this is called prospecting-based, marketing-enhanced business, especially in a shifted market like we have right now. Both your agents and your team leaders need to look at the sources of their business and say, how do I actively go out and get that business, not passively spend money marketing to it? And that's what prospecting-based, marketing-enhanced means. Yes, we do some marketing through these channels, but primarily we wake up every day and we touch our database and we actively lead generate and follow up on the leads that we're collecting. Thanks for sharing that, Ammon. Okay, so let's keep moving here. How does a team leader make contact? Now, for years, you're going to see that even in the United States, we fell away from our own model and had team leaders cold calling all over the United States. That is not our model. Gary has come back in as the CEO and really coached the regions and the market centers to come back to our original model, which was to succeed through others, not just have 40 appointments, which would be 2 per day, every weekday, every month. Yeah, that's wonderful. But if you're cold calling to get those 40 appointments, you're working harder than you need to. A team leader should be requesting warm leads from the associates they have inside the market center. That's a much easier way to grow, and it's worth it to the agents to refer a name and a phone number or email to the team leader, because that could be a growth share opportunity for them. So the team leader should request a warm leads, get permission to make a contact. That should be the connection that the agent makes with the recruit. And then the team leader contacts the agents and says, Ammon told me to reach out to you because he loved doing business with you. I just wanted to say, as the team leader of this market center that Ammon's a part of, how much we appreciate when transactions go as well as they did with you, and the leadership and professionalism that you do business with. We really value it. Can I ask you, how is your business going this year, or whatever the other messages are? And next thing you know, I'm in a consultative conversation about this person's business, and I'm probably sharing not all the things Keller Williams has, not growth share, or, oh, let me help you become a millionaire. We're literally asking questions like, well, did you know Ammon and other agents like him are outperforming the market by X percent? Or they've grown their production or their GCI this much percent compared to last year. Or Keller Williams as overall has a track record of doing this. Agents are really thriving here, even under COVID. Whatever the message is, the team leader is getting into a relationship and raising curiosity for that recruit about where they are with their business, and maybe there's an opportunity at Keller Williams. So that's the three simple steps about succeeding through your people. And again, we have whole courses for the team leader specifically on how to do this. The key is they need to adopt a mega agent mindset. They have to think just like a top agent does. I need to go make contact with people in a warm and unoffensive way. And then they need to do that so that the market center grows. Now, we don't have time for this exercise, but I want you to challenge you to think about, how would a team leader go into your marketplace, especially small ones or big ones, and adapt their behavior so that they could get into a natural relationship with those top agents. I would argue it's the same way that top agents get into a relationship with clients, especially clients that operate at the higher end of the market. They might want to raise their average sales price that they close. Well, that takes skill. That takes thoughtful effort to go, how do I reach out to those people and build relationships and grow my database with the type of people I want to be in business with? Our team leaders are no different. They have to adopt that mindset, and it makes them valid with the top agents, because they understand the models that are building great regions are the same models that are building great market centers, and those are the same models that are building great agent teams. It's all the same. It feels like a lot, but we're all running the same market, prospecting-based, marketing-enhanced businesses. And when your team leaders do this, they validate themselves to stay in relationship and be able to teach top agents, even if they've never been one themselves. You can teach top agents how to grow a business and be validated because you're growing an entire market center. And so don't let your team leaders buy into the idea that they're not a mega agent themselves. They are. They're practically the biggest mega agent because they're building the biggest office with 50, 60, 75 agents. Now, I wish we could spend the rest of our day talking about this slide right here, because it's my favorite thing on the planet, and that is the needs analysis. FSO is not here to teach your team leaders how to recruit, but please know, as you go through the process, like I've been saying, you're going to have training on this, and the needs analysis is the key component of our course, Team Leader Fundamentals. This is all about how the team leader conducts the conversation when they do go on the appointment, when they do follow up like Ammon is suggesting. And it all starts with asking the right questions. And in many of our courses, especially our coaching programs, as well as Team Leader Fundamentals, you'll see hundreds of questions that your team leader literally needs to read and practice and pick and choose the right ones that work for your market, to ask powerful questions of top agents so they can get to know their business and have a proper consultative relationship with them. These questions will allow the team leader to drill down and turn that relationship from just friendly talk about the market into a truly consultative conversation. A conversation that could bring that agent from their positive present, where everything's great, I'm doing fine, business is okay, to a positive future that, through self-analysis of understanding what's not 100% operating in their business right now, what might happen if nothing in that changes, and the negative future that could create for them, their business, and their family, to how they could have a positive future in their business and family if that gap was filled, if that problem was solved, rather than letting it just go unchecked and unevaluated and just become a problem 5-10 years from now. That kind of consultative process, when done like you're taught in these courses, can help a team leader get the agent to self-identify how they could change their business with a coach and a consultative relationship like the team leader is providing, and actually build the life that they actually want rather than just letting it happen entrepreneurially. It's through outside coaching and consultation that businesses get really great. If you study success at all in any industry, they never succeeded alone. They had a coach, they had a partner, they had some sort of accountability outside of themselves to keep them on track, moving towards their desired goal, their destiny. Team leaders can be that in a small way for top producers around the marketplace. When they build that relationship authentically and then bring those people in, not to just be in relationship with themselves, but be in relationship with a market center, to be part of a community, part of an ALC, or part of a luxury division, or whatever other businesses you're building inside the market center, then those agents can find that platform in that community so they're not alone. As Bill likes to teach us, this is a lonely business. We're driving around in our cars, we're showing property, we're eating lunch alone, and then we're meeting with people and we're racing through our day as agents. This can be a really big breath of fresh air for your agents or your recruits if your team leaders understand the needs analysis at a high level. Hammond, did you want to add anything to that before I move on?
I agree. The needs analysis is one of my favorite portions of the team leader's job. One thing I want to say, because JP's he's really hitting this, and there are two things that permeate all of Keller Williams. Number one, we have a system of activities, and number two, we have a system of accountability. And it's the blend of those two things. But they both must exist. It's the blend of those two things that really makes Keller Williams thrive. There was a question earlier, what do we do about our competition if they're doing the same things? They might be doing the same thing as number one. They might have the same activities as you, but I guarantee they are always missing that second piece. And that is the system of accountability and coaching. Everything JP is talking about is layered with a system of activity and a system of accountability. Whose job is it to perform the activity? And then second, whose job is it to follow up and coach and train and bring accountability to those activities? That permeates everything in our system. It's the profit playbook, it's the core group, it's the team leader, it's the OP, it's every position. There are two things. What's the activity and who's the accountability partner? When those things come together, Keller Williams is very powerful.
Yeah. Using the ALC as an example, right? We're talking about market centers here. So one of the best examples of what Ammon's describing is the ALC. An ALC isn't just, hey, show up and whatever you want to talk about, agents. It's bring your numbers. What did you close last year? What are you on track to close this year? Bring your GCI. Let's open the books and talk about it. And you might not be able to do that in the first conversation, but by the end of your first year running an ALC, those ALC members should be willing to walk in and talk about some of their deepest and most challenging problems, at least in their business, if not their personal life. And it's not because I got to come in and do whatever I want. It's because a leader, meaning the team leader backed by the OP, has said, I expect you to come into the meeting prepared to talk about these things. Because if we're going to deliver value to you, we need to know what's going on in your business so we can help. And at the right time, you set that expectation, because that's what accountability should be. It should help me do what I already wanted to do for myself, which is get that GCI goal that I'd set for myself this year. And when an ALC can do that for me, you have that magic and you have it at scale, because I don't have to have that conversation with each individual one privately. I can create an environment where we're having that in a group with the top producers, not the whole market center, but the ALC. And that's where it gets really magical, because that's something your competitors can't replicate. But if you and your team leader are not doing that with the 3 or 4 top people in your market center now, it's gonna be real hard to get more top producers to come. And when you deliver that value, the referrals to your team leader come in greatly, because they can't help it but say, I love working with my team leader. They're helping me grow my business dramatically this year. And ALC gives you the vehicle to do that without having to serve all 50 of your market center agents. You can't do that, but you can serve the top 3 or 4, and they become your ambassadors and the viral disciples, if you will, that spread the word about what's happening in the market center.
So
Go ahead,
Amy. So even this topic, I bring it up on this needs analysis, but it permeates everything in Keller Williams. But even here in the needs analysis, right, the first two steps, start with the right question and drill down. That's the activity. The follow-up is the accountability and coaching, right? Having a consulting conversation. You're bringing coaching and accountability to the recruiting appointment and helping that recruit understand how their business can get better, right? So at every level, you should be thinking about what's the activity and what's the accountability and coaching. It's throughout everything we do at Keller Williams.
Exactly. And I know there's a lot underneath this. You're seeing like the tip of an iceberg, and there's a whole mountain underneath this, under the water you can't see. And that is team leader fundamentals, the ALC clinic course, and also I would put in there career visioning. So as if you're a candidate bringing this into your region for the first time, you're seeing just the focus on market centers. One of the first classes you have to go through after being awarded an entire regional territory is going to be Regional Leadership Week. That kind of puts all of this together as part of a bigger picture of how do I attract agents, open a market centers, and then how do I actually run it as a region, which is a whole nother conversation. After that, I think the courses that I would start with to unpack these very critical points are Team Leader Fundamentals, the ALC Clinic, and Career Visioning. Because if you implement those three at the market center level, your market center leadership and owners will understand this, and they'll start to have the tools and the scripts, the dialogues, and most importantly, the questions that they'll need to be asking in order to attract people into this very different model. Does that make sense so far? Okay. Cheryl, I'm sorry, we skipped past you. I see that you have a question. Did you want to ask that now?
Yeah, a question. I see that the growth share is going to be really strategic for us in this market. Number one, because nobody is doing it. It will provide a competitive edge for us. And also in this country, there's no such thing as Social Security. And probably you can say something similar anywhere in the world. But it's kind of like a type of retirement plan, right? And so my question is, are there any numbers about what that can be? Are there any like averages or any kind of information? If we talk about it conceptually, of course, it sounds exciting, but are there any standards that we can say, look, if you bring in 10 people or 20 people, or if you do this, or if you do this, you might get this or that, or just something, averages. Great. And then the other question is, sorry, I know I got two, I'll talk fast. No, that's the other one is there an average size of a market center? Just in general, like we're looking at opening a whole country. So, and of course the market centers will grow over time. So I'm not thinking that we might have 200 agents in one before we open the second one. What would be a good size in general, or an average size for a market center, just so that, you know, I can have some idea?
Absolutely. Let's answer the second one first, because it's pretty straightforward. In our life cycle as an 8-year-old business in worldwide, our current average agent per market center count is at 45. So across all 45 regions, funny enough, we have 45 agents per office on average. Now our biggest regions, Malaysia and France and Turkey, have upwards of 50 or more, some of them up in the 90s. And of course, that's an average, right? Some areas, they have an office of 250 agents, but that's not the majority. That's one out of the average of 45 per agent. Now in the United States, we have an average about 190, 195 agents per office. So depending on your market, you can look at those two numbers as a milestone. Our coaching right now to any region that's in our system, with the exception of maybe Turks and Caicos, Bermuda, Aruba as they come on board, is you can get to that 45. You should make that your first milestone to where your average is 45 per office. Now in Aruba, they'll probably get to 30, maybe 50 over time, but that's a limited market because it's an island. In almost any other country, your average market center size, your first goal should be 45. And then that's probably not the limit. In some areas, France, Portugal, Brazil, Mexico, we should be able to get to 200 agents per office on average. And we're not going to go everywhere, but we're going to go in areas where we can get that big and where we know we can dominate, and then we'll expand to more obscure or rural areas later. So start with the markets you know and stay there. There are parts of the United States we've never opened offices because it's not our model to go there. It's too small, and there's not enough agents or business to hold or constitute an entire market center. So 45 is the first step. And then in relationship with us, you'll see what all your other fellow regions are doing and be able to build a plan from there. On your first question,
45, in that 45 with the same distribution of 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, because that would,
really?
like with the cappers and the gold mine and same formula.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's your goal. Now, not every market center, even in the United States, gets there. In many cases, your top consistent cappers are 15 to 20%, but their goal is always to be at around a healthy 30%. But even at 15 to 20% of your agent population being top producers, or I should say cappers and above, you can still be profitable. Our market centers around the world that are profitable can prove that out, especially in the United States, because they really have had the time, 36 years, to run that model. But even as they just still strive for that 30%, that's when you get really, really healthy. And so understand that whether it's 45 or the 900 that are in Jen's office, the formula still shows up. About 30% or less are cappers and above, 30% are that average middle, and 30% are new agents or zero producers that are new to the business. So that's a good, healthy market center. Now, in terms of growth share, I would be very, very careful with the way you're thinking about it right now. I would actually coach you to not recruit with growth share. Yes, it's a wonderful story, and yes, people will hear about it, and you should be prepared to answer questions about it. But nobody joins Keller Williams, especially when you launch for the first time, because you have growth share. Growth share and profit share are not a reason people join Keller Williams, but they are a reason people stay. So I'll give you a couple of numbers that might be helpful for you. There's not an average, and you do not want to start talking about averages that people can earn, because that's an earnings claim, and you can't make any promises about what they'll make. That's a pyramid scheme, and that's not what we're doing. Nobody has to recruit in Keller Williams. Only the team leaders need to grow these offices, and they're paid a salary to do so. Agents, if they choose to, or by accident, refer talent to us that close production and help us grow this business, we're simply rewarding them financially for helping us grow the business. So without turning this into a growth share class, I would simply say, put growth share in your back pocket as a really exciting thing they're hearing about, and don't be so quick with recruiting to bring it up as the sales pitch. It should not do that. We failed at that in the United States for many years, and RE/MAX and other companies will use it against you to tell the story of Keller Williams doesn't want you to list and sell real estate. They want you to recruit people, and you don't want to recruit. You know how to list and sell real estate. So don't go there. It's a pyramid scheme. That is not who we are, and it's not what we're about. So the short way to think about this is growth share is a very real, passive opportunity, just like you said, that could supplement your retirement or help you actually have a pathway out of listing and selling to passive income that stays with you and your family. Since its inception, profit share in the United States has paid out over $1 billion in USD. Since its inception in worldwide in 2012, growth share has paid out over $6 million. And it's just beginning its journey. Last year alone was well over right at 2 million. So you can tell them the amount that's been paid out. You can tell them that it's really an equal opportunity, unequal reward program, because simply put, 20% of our agents in our total 180,000 people participate in it, and they get the majority of the money because it's an easy thing for people to ignore. But when people do have influence and they do attract people to us, without fail, we reward them financially for doing so. So we'll get more of this a little bit later tomorrow in chapter 4, but growth share is a powerful tool for you. Just don't lead with it. Teach it to your own agents that join you so they partake in it and they naturally refer people to the team leader, but don't use it as a way to recruit people. It feels salesy and it puts people off in the wrong position when you lead with growth share. Focus on growing their business, and then growth share can come after they join. Thanks. Great questions. Great questions. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here in these last few minutes talking about the profit playbook, and that's going to lead us into tomorrow to talk about some of the tools that are inside this profit playbook that Ammon and I teach on at Regional Leadership Week, and that April and her team are going to be walking you through as you launch your region. But this is literally the playbook that we run when we say we're running a model and a system that achieves profitability. On the far left side, just know that we have systems for looking at the leading and lagging indicators of our businesses, especially the market center, to evaluate the health of those market centers. Agent count, as Cheryl brought out, is one of them. So we know agent count, company currency, the number of appointments of team leaders going on, the health and the growth of the ALC. These are all vital signs, just like in a hospital, that tell us the health of the market center. What's their heartbeat? What's their blood pressure? These critical vital signs that tell us whether this market center is growing or suffering and needs help. Then inside and below that at the bottom, we have these concepts around competitive compensation, the physical space that the market center is going to occupy, and the people we choose to put in leadership positions that help us understand what the market center of the future is going to look like. This is an important concept, and you'll see it weaved throughout FSO, but also in all the training that you experience about how you build a market center that can be profitable. And we're even adapting that now due to COVID. The Market Center Leadership Training Calendar are all those courses we've been talking about. And we're getting more and more prescriptive. As you can see, in March, the United States launched a whole new prescriptive set of courses that market center leadership should go through, especially if their vital signs are not very healthy, so that we can be really clear on the courses that are needed for a team leader, an OP, an MCA, or market center investors to go through to make sure that market center is on the model. Now at the top are the most important boxes to understand, and you kind of earn your right to go from the left to the right. And until you master the one on the far left, and that's the growth model, you don't really earn the right to help build empires for other people. The growth model is what we'll spend the rest of this chapter talking about, and that's our growth within the market center. This is the job of the market center, to grow. And you can see here, our growth initiative has two categories, Red 1 and Red 2. Red 1 is recruiting all those lower producers and rookies, anybody that you can meet with that might be a talented real estate agent or is a talented real estate agent. Red 2 is a category that your region is going to define with you, and that is essentially focusing on agents who already have a history of production. So much so that they're likely to be a consistent capper when they join your market center. That simply means they close enough production in what you've learned about them in their current real estate business that if they brought that business and themselves into your market center, they would likely continue that. And if they did, they would easily hit the cap in your market center and contribute to that company currency that helps you pay the bills of the market center. So we look at those growth categories in two ways, because if you only focus on the Red 1 category, you're taking a big gamble and you're building a market center on rookies, and that's not going to attract top producers. If you only build your category on Red 2, it's going to be hard to get to the numbers that you need to achieve to have profitability as a market center, because it takes longer to recruit top producers. But if you do both and you're focused and accountable on both, your market center can thrive. And we have an entire model and tools in the rest of Chapter 3 that help you do that. Now, the job of the region and Keller Williams Worldwide, and to some degree the market center, is to deliver value to your people and drive the adoption of that value. A big part of it is our training. And in Chapter 4, you'll see we talk about that, but we also talk about the other value propositions or initiatives, like our marketing tools, the market center itself and how it's designed and laid out, the coaching and consulting opportunities of our organization, productivity coaching program, and of course, technology. And within that, if you get big, there's other initiatives you can launch around ancillary businesses and services related to the real estate transaction, but are outside of, but attached to the market center, like lending or vendor relationships or notaries or inspectors or appraisers, whatever that other business might be that either you're involved in or you can create a great vendor relationship with. That's all value you can turn around and deliver to your office and provide better deals, better pricing for your agents because of your size and your consistent growth. These two boxes are at the heart of the profit playbook. They're the two things that if you don't do that, nothing else on this chart matters. And if you do both of them really well, you earn the way into empire building. That is helping your people build profit share, but also grow share worldwide now. Mega agent offices and businesses that are so big, they look like, as Cheryl brought up earlier, independent brokerages that are unrelated to your business right now. Mega agents can build big businesses here, and you can even allow agents to expand around your territory. Those are all complex concepts that do not matter at this point in this early phase of your growth. They're something you earn the right into if we focus on the growth model and your region, you, and KW Worldwide deliver value consistently, primarily through our training vehicles, okay? So that's the profit playbook. We're gonna unpack that starting first thing tomorrow morning after we hear from our guest OP and team leader, and we're gonna walk through the rest of this chapter and some of those tools. As you'll see, the tools are laid out for you. So if you wanna get ahead of tomorrow, feel free to read through the rest of chapter 3. We're not gonna dive into each of these because again, this audience isn't with Keller Williams yet. And so many of these actual tools and spreadsheets and documents aren't available to you yet, but we want you to understand the concept. So as you think about bringing these businesses forward, you can see there's actual real tools you're expected to use behind it. It's not theory. These are actual documents you submit to the region, and the region submits to us that we look at and we talk about on a regular basis. Just real quickly, so you understand what they are: cap management, pipeline report, trend, and lore. And lore stands for the language of real estate. And then daily company dollar, also known as daily company currency, because obviously you have different currency. So read through those pages if you like. And then tomorrow morning we'll begin right there. I know we're a few minutes over, but if you could, I'd love to ask you guys for a couple of ahas before we wrap the day. And if there's any questions, we'll stay on and answer those through the chat tool while we're listening to some ahas. But I'd like to get one or two, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, about what you got out of today, what you got out of the sessions that we've talked about so far, and so we can all learn from each other. Anybody willing to share?
I can share it since nobody else. I don't want to dominate, but the aha was how you answered my last question, because I'm thinking right now I'm working with some actual mega agents. That's why my questions are really around offices and existing people, and some of these offices actually have like 30 and 40 agents. Yep. And so it's really great, because now for me, one of my ahas is I was thinking to open maybe one market center and then another one and another one, but some of these already have really big offices, so maybe we might have the opportunity to open up multiple market centers even initially, because they already have the space, they already have the structure, they already have their teams, and just grow from there. So for me, that was a real aha, and I thank you for that perspective.
Absolutely. The thing I would say, like Bill mentioned, is be very, very careful and make sure you lead with listening before you start explaining the model, because typically they have been running a very successful model for some time, and you're not asking them to change it. You're asking them what their next 5 to 10 years looks like. And before you even say the word Keller Williams, make sure you have real deep conversation about only that. Because if they are retiring, or they have no second generation coming in, or they have no desire to grow, or they're not looking at new models, don't even bring up Keller Williams. It's totally inappropriate, and you can't convince them. You shouldn't convince them. Now, what you're being a little naughty as well, because if you understand where they're going and they're not going to grow, then you know they're just one more competitor who's holding agents in their house. And you have an opportunity to invite those agents, not try to hurt them, but invite any agents, and all agents, including theirs, to come get a better experience or a different experience growing in a different way inside your market center. So you have to be thoughtful about this as you look at your competitive landscape. Make sure you understand who is in what position if they're brokerage owners, and be strategic about whether you're going to the owner or that owner's next generation who's going to take over this business, or whether they're completely not interested in that kind of opportunity and you're recruiting agents to come join you. The key is you've got to know your marketplace, and I think you're asking really great questions as you go and explore that. Don't ignore the independent brokerages around you. There's real opportunity to help those people grow if they're willing to grow themselves and change their thinking about the way the agents operate in their office.
Yes.
Great point, Cheryl. Thank you for bringing that up. What else? One more, and then we'll let you guys have the rest of your evening or day.
Marco had a comment in the chat box about his takeaway was about the personal responsibility that Ammon talked about. So I think it was that accountability.
Thank you, Marco.
Like the activity and the accountability combo that Ammon spoke about.
Yeah. And we use the phrase personal responsibility, and Ammon used the word accountability. If that doesn't really resonate locally or culturally, that's okay. Make it your own. I think the concept came through. So please don't ignore those concepts though. And definitely don't do what Bill says so many people do, where they say, well, it's different here. I would argue that somebody in your country is accountable. Otherwise, business wouldn't move forward. Things wouldn't be started. New concepts wouldn't be there. So even in real estate, people do like being held accountable. It's scary, and we think people will reject us, but believe it or not, people will be attracted to you because you set standards, because you hold people accountable, and you take responsibility and you ask them to take responsibility. You'd be amazed how many of our own current regions tell us that the structure and the organization and the standards that are put in place by them when they run Keller Williams in their marketplace actually attracts people to them who have been desperate for some sense of organization and professionalism in their marketplace. Even in the United States, real estate can be in many ways very unprofessional and sometimes a little scattered and chaotic. And I think we even experience that benefit sometimes here too. Thank you, Marco, for bringing that up. Really, really great point. Marco also asked about an average number of market center agents versus habitant. I think you mean agents that actually sit in the market center versus those that don't. While market centers do have a space for community sharing, cubicles, and coming to use the internet or a computer or a printer, that's a minimal amount. Any other space that's dedicated to an agent should be renting from the market center. I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, but just as an example, that office that Jennifer is in has 900 agents in it, but its square footage can only hold maybe 250. So that means if all 900 showed up, there wouldn't be enough room for everyone to sit, which is normal. Their training room for 950 people can hold maybe 150 if they really organize the tables that way. And they live stream out to all the others who choose to not come to the market center or can't fit or don't want to. So there's really no magic formula other than look at your expenses and only take on a lease and the square meters that you need that your current agent population can cover. And like Ammon said, go back to page 111. Your cappers are your bank account. So if you have cappers, that tells you how much money you can spend. If you don't have cappers, that tells you how much money you can't spend. So make your decision not on number of agents, but how much square meters you can afford based on your roster. As your roster grows, be conservative and take on additional lease space only as needed. Great, great question. All right, guys, I'm sorry I've taken us over time. We're going to let you go back to your day, your evening, your afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us. We hope you got a lot out today. We'll have more guest speakers tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys in the morning.